Hello everyone, and welcome to Shonky Lab. My name is Elton, and I am here and joined by guest producers. We are going to be talking about the solar system, but my guest producers are Mr. Andy Palastides.
Hello!
And Mr. Lee Harvey.
Hiya.
How are you, gentlemen? You alright?
Yes, I'm quite well, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Anything going on in your lives before we move on to the solar system? Because I've got a story. I'm not too sure if I feel like telling it though.
What do you mean you don't feel? You can't. That's a juicy dangler, sir. You can't put that out there and then not follow through.
Is that like to get people to subscribe? You know, do you get like the podcast extras or something?
Yeah, it's tune in after the break.
Yeah. After these messages.
Yeah. At the top of the hour, we might be doing the competition later on and find out what John did with a snowman.
Well, aside from anything, I'm quite well, thank you. Nothing massively exciting going on. Although I am off to go and see Star Trek tomorrow, which I'm hoping will be good.
Ah, okay.
Desperately hoping will be good.
I've heard good stuff about it. I obviously won't be going to see it. But
you say that now.
No, dude. There's no way you're going to get me into a cinema to watch that. No way.
Sounds like a challenge to me.
You can challenge it all you like. It ain't happening.
Oh, and the other thing I did is I went to a Star Wars convention in a Star Trek uniform.
And how did that go down?
Well, evidently I'm still here, so I'd call that a win.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. And you saw Indiana Jones. Oh, sorry, Raiders.
Yes,
yesterday.
I went to see Raiders last night with Mr. Metcalf, which was fantastic, as it always is.
So on the cinema?
Yes, at the BFI.
On the BFI? Oh, okay.
Yes. It was the Ponzi cinema, where we discussed film theory and the mise en scène and, you know, the use of Art Nouveau in the 1920s. It was very, very, very good.
Everyone wears a smoking jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone puts their slippers on as they go into the cinema.
Oh, and a pipe. You
need
need a pipe.
And a pipe, yes. And
with one of those cigarette holder things. not with the pipe, obviously.
No, you can't have one of them with a pipe. Crying out loud. What's the matter with you?
Yeah. Like your history's greatest monster. What's wrong with you?
It belongs in a museum.
Mm.
Wait.
Yes, much like Indiana Jones these days.
Yeah. Lee, anything happening with you?
Been watching softball, which is like one step up from rounders, one step down from baseball.
Is that on the telly box, or is that?
No, with my team that I play for. I'm broken at the moment, so I wasn't able to actually play myself. But the Southampton Spitfires Mark II, we lost to our first team. Mark I's absolutely thrashed us. But I got to do lots of heckling on the megaphone that we've got, so that was fun. Oh. And that's about it for this week, yeah just working and mapping the country.
As you do.
Yeah.
As you do.
So nothing exciting. Bit of sport.
Good.
Bit of work.
Well, I don't know if I should... I don't know if I'm in the mood to actually say this or not. I had an accident today at work. And I ended up...
It's nothing to be ashamed of, mate. It happens to everyone. Honestly.
Not one of them. I haven't had one of them for a long time. Did you have
to wear the spare pants?
No, I haven't had that for a long time. Trust me. No, this accident... Okay, right. I was in my van having my lunch. I was eating a sandwich and I was watching a little movie on my iPhone, as I try to during my lunch break.
Hang on. Wait, important things first.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of sandwich was it?
It was a ham and cheese sandwich.
Classic,
but
sandwich.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah,
it was a good.
Keep it simple.
Keeping it real.
Exactly, perfect.
Down in the hood, etc. Anyway, I was having this said sandwich, and I was watching a little movie on my iPhone. I try to grab 20 minutes at lunch if I'm lucky. Some days you don't get lunch, and some days you do get lunch. And this was one of them days where I was just trying to grab the lunch as soon as I could. And I was parked right up to a double yellow line. So I wasn't on the yellow line. I was perfectly placed just off the yellow line. And some idiot came along, sized up. He had a massive long wheelbase Transit, and he sized up the gap in front of me to the next car, which he could have fitted that car in and maybe a moped as well. There was plenty of room there. And he decided to reverse into there, and he reversed in there, and then he kept reversing, and then ended up bumping my car. And I was like, okay, what the bloody hell? So I bid my horn. He got out, I got out, and it was, okay, I don't actually want to fight. Please don't punch me. Because he's like twice the size of me and taller than me and everything like that. And I was like, whoa, no. But anyway, I've got out of the car now, so I need to do something. And so I was asking him, you must have felt you hit my van. And he was like, no. Why didn't you move back? Why weren't you helping me out? You what? What are you on about? And it just carried on for about 20 minutes. And then I said to him about hitting my van. Didn't you hit my van at all? And he's like, no, I don't know what you're on about. No, I didn't feel a thing. And I started calling him a liar. I didn't swear. I did not swear at all throughout this whole entire session. It went on for about maybe 5 minutes. It felt like half hour, though. It was one of them dreaded things where, oh my God, what am I going to do if something kicks off? Because I'm a lover, not a fighter. And he just stonewall denied anything had happened, even though he just hit my van and blamed it on me. But it was like, no, nothing's happened. You're a flipping liar, mate. You're a flipping liar. And I got back in the van, and he drove around, parked up, then decided to get out the van again and come over to my door and open my door. And he was like, you're a tradesman. I'm a tradesman. Why are you no help me? What's going on? Why are you not helpful? I am quite helpful, actually. When you want me to help, I'm quite helpful. I didn't know you was going to hit the van, crying out loud. And then he just walked off halfway through my sentence, me saying stuff, and that winds me up. And I got out the car and went, you, sir, are a very rude man. And then got in the car and drove off.
What did he say?
He just looked at me. He just didn't give a shit.
Did you slap him across the face with your glove?
Did you say, I said good day, sir?
I said good day.
I said good day, sir.
I will next time. Definitely. I didn't even think about saying that. I wish I had. I'll be getting my dueling pistols out.
It's the best way to end any argument. Is I said good day, sir. I said good day, sir.
I think I will next time. I'm going to, try and put that on tap for next time I do that. But flipping hell, it was one of them cases of, I don't want this to kick off. But if it does kick off, what the flipping hell am I going to do? I don't know.
Kick him in the balls and run away.
Yeah. Slam his head against a car door or something like that. And then for the next half hour, I'm having the argument in my head.
Yeah.
I'm having the argument with my steering wheel.
Did you win that head argument?
No, I didn't.
Well, you lost that one as well.
Yeah. So, productive day.
Oh.
Which
Poor
really, flipping hell. Anyway, we're not here to have arguments. We're here to give away stuff and to talk about the solar system. Before we start anything, I want to introduce people to a website. It's called If the Moon Were Only One Pixel. It's on joshworth.com. That's JOSHWORTH.com. And what we're going to do, I'm going to press a little button at the top, bottom right-hand corner, and that scans the solar system in light speed. So I want to see how far we can get on this episode. So, I don't know if you want to play along or not, but it's well worth going over there and having a look at it. So I'm going to click it now, and I'll just let you know what planets we're passing and stuff. Oh, I'm leaving the sun already. It's awesome. There we go.
And we're away at the speed of light.
Very, very slowly.
What do you mean slow? It's the speed of bloody light.
You say that. You do say that, but,
0.1 light minutes.
Yeah, it's clocking up, but see, we've already travelled 10 million kilometres, but it's nothing, mate. It's nothing.
That strikes me as quite a distance if you were heading down to the local shops.
Yes. Right.
Quite a significant overshoot.
Yes. This episode, we're talking about the solar system. We're also giving away planets and moons. So if anyone in the chat room wants a moon or wants a planet, then let us know. Or if you want to Skype in, you're more than welcome to Skype in, and we'll bring you into the conversation. And we'll give away the planet or the moon that you require. So,
have you gents got preferences on your choices?
I'm not going to choose. I'm going to wait for the end. I will choose mine at the end, I think.
Oh, yeah? You're going to see what's left at the end, are you?
Yeah, I'll give you two your first go. Who wants to go first?
No, after you, Lee. No, you first, sir.
I'm going to play it safe, stick with home, and I'm going to take Earth.
You're
Yeah.
Are you an emperor or a king?
You don't have a nasty infestation of humans there.
Yeah, I can deal with that fairly easily, though. Just nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
No, we've tried that. It didn't work.
We haven't tried it enough.
Yeah.
What is it Peter Cook says in Whoops Apocalypse? This conservative government doesn't believe in paying for nuclear weapons that aren't going to be used.
Yes.
So you're having the Earth.
I take the Earth. I like water. There's a lot of it.
Okay, cool.
Fair enough.
Andy, what would you like?
All my stuff is
I would like... it's a moon of Saturn. It's called Mimas. M-I-M-A-S. And do you know why I want that one?
I know exactly why you want that one.
Because that's no moon. It's a space station.
There is one very, very similar to that as well in the same system. But I might get to that later. We don't know. Oh, we're coming up to Mercury, by the way.
Hey, Mercury!
If you look out at the left side of the craft, you'll see Mercury.
The only planet where I believe the day is longer than the year.
Yes. Okay, so let's crack on with this. Anyone's history with the solar system or anything to do with space, I take it, because I've got you guys on this episode, I take it you guys are fascinated with all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, just speaking for myself, I have spent most of my life in the solar system. I'm not going to lie, I'm largely here just for that joke.
I'm here so that you two can tell me loads of really clever things and I can go, ooh, that sounds amazing. That's my idea. So I assume that you both have lots of clever things and lots of facts and stuff to talk about.
Yes.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? I do have...
I would like to think so, yeah. Despite having been on this show before.
Yeah. I do have a children's encyclopedia in front of me.
Is it the Dawn in Kingsley one?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's a good book, that one is.
Have you got it too?
I do have it, not in front of me, but it is a good book.
So you're taking Mimas.
I'm taking the Death Star, basically.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to... Whatever planet anyone else chooses, I don't care. I'm going to go around blowing them up later, because I can.
Okay.
Hang on. You can't blow up my one.
Yes, I can.
Well, that would be blowing up you.
Oh, I think you'll find this space station is quite operational. You're far too trusting.
Mr. PP in the chat room. I don't know who Mr. PP is, but welcome, Mr. PP. He said he'd like Laptus from Saturn. So I'm going to write that down. Hang on.
Yes, good.
And he has got Mimas and Laptus. I'm going to have to actually look that one up.
I think it's called, is it Iapetus? I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation, because a lot of these were named by very poncy people who spoke Latin and Greek and stuff like that.
It could be Iapetus. I'm just looking at it as a lowercase l. Sorry, I do apologise. Mr. P. Okay, there we go. Giving our first one away. Okay.
Incidentally, interesting fact, incidentally, I can tell you we have 181 natural moons and planets available, so there's a lot there for people, so we can potentially double up later on.
Is that all it is, though? I thought there was more than that.
It's 181, which you'd count as anything larger than, say, a dwarf planet. So there's a lot more in like the asteroid field and all that sort of malarkey and so forth, but 181 known natural moons orbiting planets in our solar system.
Yeah, that's awesome. And at one point there was just the Earth, and everything went round the Earth. at one point.
At one point, people thought that. It was never actually that.
Yeah.
Important distinction to make here. And no, the solar system is not 6,000 years old. Anyone who says that, I will hunt you down and blow you up with my Death Star laser, which I now have.
Talking more like 4.6 billion years old.
Something along those lines, yes.
Right. So, do you guys have telescopes or anything that you can look up at the foreign bodies up there?
No, sadly, I live in a city, so it wouldn't really work too well, unfortunately.
I did have a telescope when I was a kid, but again, living in London, and I never had a tripod for it either, so it was like impossible to use. But now that I'm kind of into photography stuff, I do like taking astrophotography when I go places which don't have lots of lights and everything, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Frog Stomper wants Jupiter, incidentally, because it's big and gassy, and that seems appropriate.
Frog Stomper wants Jupiter. Okay. Right.
And Jim Moon has picked Pluto. I'm guessing for some eldritch reasons, possibly some sort of occults going on there. Greg wants the Evil from Fifth Element, but that's not actually a real planet, so no, you cannot.
He could have picked it for Disney reasons.
Hang on. What one does Jim want?
Jim wants Pluto.
Oh, he's having Pluto. Okay.
Yes. The largest of the dwarf planets. Is it the largest, or is Eris larger? I will have to look this up.
Eris. I think Eris is slightly larger.
That was the whole reason Pluto basically got degraded. It was because there's a bigger dwarf planet in the asteroid belt. Yeah. Embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, I've got my own telescope. You guys have seen that in my dining room.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's only every now and again. It's normally during the winter as well because it's a longer night as well. And that's when you can crack it out. During the summer, the nights are shorter, so you have to stay up a lot later before you crack it out. And the telescope. And that thing is... I'm so impressed with it. I really am. It's not massive. It's not thousands and thousands of pounds worth of equipment. But it's enough to have curiosity grow inside you from it. You can see the rings of Saturn. You can see Jupiter and the bands on there. You can see the moons going around Jupiter. And the first thing you do look at is the moon. And when you can zoom in on it, you can see all the craters on there, and everything looks magnificent. It goes past your field of view so quickly. It's really scary on how quickly it does turn outside of your field of view. But when you're looking at the moon and looking at all them craters, and if you get a half moon, you've got the shadow halfway down that moon, then you can really see how tall some of these peaks are. And it's just mind-blowing. It really is.
Oh, yeah. Because even in London, the moon is pretty self-evident, and it's great just when you've got a full moon like you do today on a clear day, just sit back and look at it, and it's just like, wow, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
You can pick out all those details with your eye, and that's awesome.
So what have you seen through a telescope or anything like that?
I have seen, in the solar system anyway, I've seen Jupiter and Saturn, Mars.
Yep.
Slightly outside of the solar system, but I'll just say for the interest sort of thing. I've seen things like the Andromeda Galaxy. I've seen the Milky Way, obviously, which is beautiful. And again, if you get, especially in the southern hemisphere, I don't know if it's quite as apparent in the northern hemisphere, but you get that really great band of stars, the central core, and that's just amazing to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the moon, obviously, where you can take in details. I love the Tycho crater on the moon because it's impacted as just massive star ejector, where it's just kind of like on poof, and like spread material all around it. It's like that was a pretty hefty impact.
Yeah, too right. Lee, what have you seen?
Through telescopes, not really much. Not that I can remember.
Have you got any binoculars at all?
I used to have some when I was very little, or my dad had some. We used to look around with those, but I don't remember looking at anything specific apart from probably the moon. But I was going to ask you, which planets can you actually see without a telescope? Because I often see, I think Venus is obvious because it's usually pretty bright, but the rest of them.
Well, you can see everything up to Saturn, can't you?
Yeah, with your naked eye, you can see everything up to Saturn.
Because you can often see like a little red dot, and I do wonder whether that is Mars or not. But I just don't know. And okay, fair enough.
It is. Well, you know, on your phone you can get the Star Walker app.
Ah, yes, that's a good.
Because the great thing with that is when you see a star, you kind of point your phone up, and it'll go, "Oh, that's this star here," and you go, "Oh, wow, that's awesome."
So, like a sort of augmented reality thing, it
Yeah.
just shows you what you're looking at, or
Yes.
lists what you're looking at, basically. Okay, awesome. What's that called?
The red dot you might be finding, it could be Betelgeuse.
Okay.
It's possible, but I think it's more likely to be Mars.
You can see that red, though, from that star.
Yeah.
I forget where that's one of the shoulders of Orion, isn't it?
I think so. I don't want to quote me on that. It's entirely possible.
I'm pretty sure it's one of the shoulders of Orion.
So, Elton, I can't see Uranus with the naked eye then?
Well, if you're bendy, you can.
Should we mark that up as 1?
Yeah, why not?
For Uranus jokes.
I think there's a few in the chat room already.
Yeah, a little bit. In fact, Greg says he has a 4.5-inch reflector, and he's seen the rings of Saturn and several moons. And nice. Jack Woodgate congratulates us on the first Uranus gag of the evening.
Oh no, that was from Teresa.
So was it?
Nobody wants the rings around Uranus.
No one wants that, no. It's a classy show. We're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it's not called Urectum. That's only in Futurama. In the year 3000, it'll be renamed.
So, where would you like to go first?
Ooh.
Are we going to do a journey, or are we just going to basically talk about this? Because I'm quite happy for either or.
I think you should talk about Mars.
Yeah, let's go straight to Mars, because let's face it, it's the one where everyone seems to be spending most of their attention these days.
Yeah, okay.
I'm currently wearing a Mars is Closer Than You Think t-shirt, which lists all the missions to Mars on the back, because that's the level of nerd I am.
So why do you think everyone is so obsessed with Mars?
I think we've always been obsessed with Mars.
Well, it's the closest viable planet of which we can visit and actually look to spend time on. Because Venus, while closer, I'm pretty sure it's closer. Anyway, Venus, yes, is actually the hottest planet in the solar system, and on its surface, it's hot enough to melt lead.
Yeah,
it's rather unpleasant. It has like acid rain falling from the sky. You hear about those Russian probes which landed and lasted about 30 seconds, sent one picture, and they just went poof.
Was that the Vikings?
No, the Vikings were Mars.
Oh, they were the Mars, weren't they?
Yeah. There was 2 Viking probes, and then there's been a load of probes since. I can't remember the names of the Soviet lunar Venus probes off the top of my head, but I'm going to look it up because I have the internet.
Well, I do know that they sent probes to Venus, because it's harder to get to Venus than it is to Mars, because you're going out of the solar system rather than going back into it. It's harder to do that. But when the Soviets first sent their first probes to Venus, they didn't make the surface because they had too big a parachutes. They floated forever in the atmosphere because it's so dense and thick. Mm-hmm. They just didn't make it to the ground, and so they died with the pressure and the heat. And
so they just got broken up and disintegrated in the atmosphere.
Well, I don't think anyone would know whether they were broken up and disintegrated or what, or whether they finally made it to the floor. I don't know, but I do know that they failed during their descent, and it was because they put the parachutes were far too big for what they needed, and so the second time they sent probes there, they made smaller parachutes.
Oh, well, you're learning, although it's an expensive thing you have to learn on the job, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were called the Verena missions, and of which there was 14, all told.
So how many made it to the surface, though?
I don't know how many were successful. I mean, I don't know how many were successful. They landed according to, well, the ones which were designed as descending ones were 7 to 14, plus Vega 1, 2, and some smaller probes. So let's say conservatively about 6 or 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Not many. I mean, you compare to how many we've sent to Mars and done stuff and everything. And again, everyone which has gone to Venus has lasted about 30 minutes before going, poof.
Yeah, I think that's the most you can expect from them. going to Venus. But what have we got on Mars at the moment? We've got Curiosity going on there at the moment.
There's Curiosity, which is the nuclear-powered Volkswagen Beetle.
Yep.
It's about the size of a Volkswagen Beetle,
It's
which is pretty
awesome, though, isn't it?
It's awesome, but my favourite is Opportunity, which is the little probe that fucking well could. that thing was launched in 2004 on a 90-day mission, and it's still fucking going now.
Which is the one that plays Happy Birthday to itself?
I think that's Curiosity. Curiosity plays it, yeah.
I'm sure it was Jim or Lee Metcalf who said about it just sits there on its own, playing Happy Birthday to itself. Miles and miles from anything else.
There is I've just posted a comic in the chat about Opportunity. It's about 6 years, it's still going strong. 11 years, it's starting to get weird. In 2023, the battery's totally disconnected. How is it still moving? And then by 2450 on Terraform Mars, everything the light touches is our kingdom. What about the dark area? That's Opportunity's half of the planet. We must never go there. Interesting thought, though. Mars is the only known planet that is entirely populated by robots.
By robots, yep.
It's mind-blowing when you actually
Brilliant.
discover that, though.
Yeah.
That is one of my favourite space facts.
That's where the robot uprising is going to start. Mark my words.
But very, very slowly.
Yes, very, very slowly. And all you need to do is get some dust. You'll be fine.
Well, we won't be able to stop them. Even if you disconnect the battery.
Yes.
They'll keep coming.
I'm looking in the book I have. Hang on, I'm trying to find the Mars. Okay, right. I've got some facts for you about Mars.
Facts about Mars. Okay, hit us with these facts about Mars.
I think it's the Marianas Trench. It runs like a scar just below the Martian equator, and it runs for 4,000 kilometers.
Yes, it's massive. It's absolutely humongous, and it features in the Watchmen film, which is very cool.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and also the smiley face crater as well.
I've just got a picture of that up now. Yeah.
Oh, is he? Is that in the chat room as well?
No. I've just found it. I'll get it on there. Do you mean the famous Mars face?
Well, no. There's two.
I didn't know that.
Well, the famous Mars face doesn't actually look like a face when you use a high-res camera.
Don't use a high-res camera then. It's very simple.
Yes, keep your Earthlings guessing. Why not?
Yes. Damn you and your science.
And Olympus Mons is the largest volcano in the solar system.
It is.
Not
active though.
No, it's not. Well, it's a dead world, isn't it? It's a dead world.
Well, we don't. It's not necessarily geologically active, but whether or not you can say it's a dead world, that's very much up to debate.
Well, there could be. Where could life be living? If there is life there, where would it be living? Well,
generally speaking, you need liquid water for there to be life. That seems to be the consensus as we understand things. And what they've recently discovered is evidence of liquid water flowing on the surface. They've not actually caught it flowing, but they've caught the immediate aftermath. There's some pictures from the Martian, the survey orbiters, which just shows the streaks where water's been running down. You know, as it's run out from under the surface, it's instantly evaporated, which suggests that under the surface there is still liquid water to a degree. So it's entirely possible there is some sort of life in that liquid water.
Yeah. Do they think that there used to be a lot more water?
Yeah, they think there used to actually be oceans on Mars, but what's happened is the atmosphere wasn't thin enough to keep the water on there, so most of it boiled off on the surface.
Right.
But interestingly enough, Mars is effectively a potential shake and bake planet where if you just add greenhouse, thicken up that atmosphere, you can start keeping that water on the planet. So it's kind of like it's a just add water planet, basically.
What about the radiation, though? Because there's hardly any, if none at all, of a...
there's no magnetic...
no magnetic field.
There's no magnetic field, and that is largely under the... we'll deal with that bridge when we come to it in NASA's playbook at the minute.
They're going to build a dome over the whole thing, aren't they?
Well, yeah, we've seen Total Recall. We know how that ends.
But the atmosphere will help with that, won't it?
Yeah, to an extent that will help, because the atmosphere will help, especially with ozone, that will disperse a lot of radiation. Not all of it, by long means, and not things like solar flares, which is more what you need the magnetosphere to deal with, but just general radiation. A thicker atmosphere will do a lot of deal with that.
Well, that's where the Marianas Trench came from. I've heard that when the water boiled off, the water came gushing through, created that trench because it was because the planet was cooling off, and so it's squeezing itself down ever so slightly.
Yeah,
not by miles or anything, but it's squeezing itself, and then you get this rip in the whole planet.
Yeah.
So, do we think that they will find anything there, though? I
don't think you're going to find anything beyond microbes.
Yeah, I think
You're not going to find bloody, quote Martians, end quote, building war machines under the surface.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know whether we're going to. You're not sure about the fact we're not going to find Martians building walkers under the surface.
No one would have believed in the last years of the 20th century. Human affairs were being watched by the timeless worlds of space.
It would be awesome, but I don't think we'll find microbes. I honestly don't think
Really?
we'll find... Yeah, I don't think we will.
I think
we will.
surely.
If we did, would they let us know?
Yeah, of course they would. They've already kind of, had a few.
Come on, I think every year for the past 5 years, NASA's announced at one time or another, we found microbes on Mars. Oh, wait, no, we haven't, but we've found evidence of stuff. But
I mean, I think it would be managed because, even microbes somewhere else would be a massive influence on life on Earth in terms of society and how people view the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you give humanity far too much credit, but yeah, maybe.
Okay, what else have we got on Mars? We got 2 moons there.
Yes, Phobos and is it Deimos?
Deimos or Deimos, however
Deimos.
you want to call it. Tiny little... They're captured moons.
Asteroids from the asteroid belt, yeah. Yes, so we have that. It's named after the Roman god of war, not the Greek one, which is a shame. I think it would be much cooler if it was called Ares. But,
I don't think we'll... well, unless... Has anyone Bugsied Mars yet? No one has Bugsied Mars yet, so you could possibly change its name if you want to. If someone in the chat room wants to Bugsy it, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, but if I'm going to change the name of a planet, I want to call it Bob.
Oh. Deary me.
It does have the largest dust storms in the solar system, but unlike in the film The Martian, the dust storms aren't really anything to worry about.
That's right, yeah, but they cut that out, didn't they?
Well, in The Martian, they still have this heavy dust storm which potentially blows over the landing vehicle, but the atmospheric pressure on Mars is such that at its strongest, the worst is going to be like an asthmatic ant blowing on you. Which doesn't quite make for the same kind of dramatic...
Is that with or without heavy shopping?
With heavy shopping.
With heavy shopping. Flipping hell. Okay, right, shall we leave Mars?
Yeah, let's move on. Although one last fact...
That's what I was going to say before. We at work, somebody has mapped Mars.
Really?
There is an Ordnance Survey map that you can buy of a bit of Mars.
Hang on a bit.
Oh yeah, they've mapped where they got some data from NASA, and it's an area I think where lots of the landers have been and all the explorers and whatever else. It's 1 to 4 million scale map of Mars.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Complete with Ordnance Survey not branding. What's the word? Styling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's lovely. Have a search for it on Tinterweb.
Yeah.
Well, if I am searching for that, I'll probably end up on Google, and haven't they mapped Mars, or they have maps of Mars as well?
You've got Google Maps, you can do that. No Street View as yet, though, which, is a bit disappointing. But,
well, that is disappointing, because we've got cameras up there.
They could do it. Flipping hell. Why haven't they done that?
Because they've only mapped...
done.
They've only mapped about 0.5% of the planet. That's probably why.
I know, but you would go to that site and just click the arrows forwards and then backwards and then forwards.
Maybe there's something they found that they didn't want us to see.
This is the face of Mars again, isn't it?
Like Transformers or something.
See, now, Transformers did it well.
Really?
Yes, they did. I will not have any arguments about that. They did that well. I thought so, anyway.
Yeah, well, moving on.
Okay, fair enough. Is it Curiosity that writes out its name or writes out something in its wheel tracks as it crosses Mars?
Yeah, I believe it has its name kind of embedded in one of the treads. So,
hang on. Which one drew a penis?
Is that true?
One of them did. Okay, talk amongst yourselves. I'll find this.
Yeah, Google that, please, because...
everything stops. This needs to be investigated right now. Well, while he's looking that up, I've got an interesting one, because we're probably heading out away from Mars. So let's talk about something that used to be between us and Mars. Do you know about Thea?
Thea? No. Go. Is this an asteroid, or is this the magical teapot that floats out there?
This is a planet that used to, about the same size as Mars, which scientists believe collided with Earth some 4.5 billion years ago, and led to the formation of our moon.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the thing that hit us.
Yeah, it's what they believe is a theoretical. They reckon it was a planet, and our orbits effectively interacted at 2 points, and just through orbital mechanics, eventually we collided, as objects that tend to be attracted to each other do. And through that collision, we absorbed most of Thea, and the moon was spun off as a result of that impact and coalesced, which is why the moon is effectively made up of the same materials as the Earth. So yes, there you go.
Why have I never heard of this then? I know the theory and the story of how the moon came to be, but I've never heard of this. This Thea.
No. It's hang about. Let me just find the web page. There you go. Here you go.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna. I think Doreen wanted Io, one of the moons.
Ooh, an excellent choice.
So I've put Doreen down for Io, and Greg, he wanted
Sycorax?
Yeah, Sycorax, one of the small moons of Uranus. Oh, it doesn't get boring at all, does it?
It doesn't, no. And anyone who thinks that astronomers don't have a sense of humour.
Right, Greg, you have that. Doreen, you have Io as well. There you go.
Right, I found the story, by the way. I've posted it on the board. NASA Mars rover accidentally draws penis on the red planet. That's from the 24th of April, 2013.
Yeah, yes. I don't think Lee Medcalf showing up in the chat and he would like Europa. I don't think he can have it because apparently we should attempt no landings there. They were very insistent on that.
I thought we were giving him Prometheus.
You're poking the bear, man.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. But if he wants Europa, I'm happy for that. But all I'm saying is be careful landing there. They were very insistent. You should attempt no landings there on account of baby.
Exactly, yeah. Well, he can have it, but he's not allowed to go there.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, that works.
He just can't park there. Tough. No parking.
Oh, and I think Greg's just posted a video of a collision between Earth and Thea. I'm suspecting this might be an animation because I don't think they had cameras this good back then. But, I could be wrong.
Well, you never know, do you?
Yeah.
If it was from back then, imagine the YouTube hits as well.
That's true, man. There'd be a lot. And Jack Woodgate would like Titan.
Oh, Jack Woodgate can have Titan.
There you go.
Okay. By the way, when you do have one of these planets or moons, you have to keep it tidy.
Oh, well, that's me screwed.
Yeah, I warned you. You've got an infestation, mate. You need to get an exterminator in there.
How far away are we viewing it? Because from the moon, it looks pretty tidy.
It's true, yeah.
By the way, we've just gone over 30 light minutes.
Oh, I forgot to check that.
Where are we at now then?
Just blackness.
Yes, just empty space at the moment.
Wow, that's depressing, isn't
Hang
it?
on. How many?
Where no one can hear you scream.
The wonderful thing about this website is it gives you have a drop down menu, and you can have the distance you've travelled in kilometres, miles, AUs, light minutes, Earths, pixels, buses, blue whales, and Great Wall of China.
Does everyone know what an AU is?
No.
Yes.
Isn't it the money code for Australia?
It's that as well, but aside from that, it's an astronomical unit, which is the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
And we're at 3.7 AUs at the moment. Or, if you want it in blue whales, oh Christ, it won't stop.
Well, it's just coming up to 63,000 Great Walls of China,
Nice.
which I suspect are all visible from space.
Steve Bob would like Button Moon, but since that's not a real place, then no, you can't. So
Isn't it a real place?
it's not.
Are you sure?
Quite sure.
It could be like a parallel universe.
And yet it's not.
Well, you don't know that.
I do.
Well, it's on your list of spaceships.
No, the spaceship's on my list of spaceships, not
Yeah.
the moon.
Well, okay.
Would
I
you
think
two
it should
stop
be allowed.
arguing? I've got a
No.
plan.
Are you going to turn this spaceship around otherwise?
I think it should be allowed, Button Moon.
I will do in a minute. I've just put the link for that site. It's joshworth.com. It's in the site, so please visit that. We are travelling at the speed of light at the moment, and how many kilometres? Oh Christ, the numbers are just mind blowing at the moment. I'm going to go back to light minutes, and I'm like 32 light minutes. So there we go. Right, okay, we're going to head back to Venus very quickly.
Okay.
Because we need to do that. Chances of life. What do you reckon on that planet?
Ooh, slim to none.
On Venus?
Yeah.
Yeah, 0.
It's Bako Keiko, I do believe the scientists say.
It's hotter than the surface of the sun.
It is.
Acid rain falling from it. There's a theory that the surface of a planet will periodically completely melt, go completely molten, and then re-solidify as well.
Does there have to be some kind of solid thing for everything to hang on to? Like you've got your solid core that's making the gravity that keeps everything together, or can it just be a balling mass of liquid?
Well, the sun's a balling mass of liquid.
It's a
gas.
balancing act, isn't it? It's like with the sun, you have light pushing out and gravity holding it all together.
Right.
The same as with Jupiter.
So where is that gravity coming from? So things don't have like a proper sort of center. It can be constantly moving things, but the gravity is still enough.
It still has
to
mass.
keep everything together. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like a cup full of water there's still weight and mass to that.
Right.
It's just collective mass.
Yes.
Okay.
The more mass you obtain, the greater the gravitational field would be outside. I've got scientists just eating their fingers at what I'm saying at the moment.
Yeah.
You're still doing better than I am.
They're tearing strips of skin off their faces. What is he fucking talking about? I don't believe it.
It's that bit in Raiders sort of thing where the face starts melting.
I really know nothing, so I will be asking stupid questions.
Oh, can we call you Jon Snow?
If you like. Yeah, I can do a northern accent if you want to.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Nothing, Jon Snow.
Venus.
Venus.
Has been said that there is a nice, I hate the term Goldilocks, but I'm going to use it anyway. There's a Goldilocks zone within its atmosphere where life could possibly live.
I've heard that, yeah.
It's like Bespin.
Well, I'd say more like the Jetsons, but yeah, Bespin's probably more relevant.
Yeah. And you could have algae living, an algae type material living up there, which I think is quite cool. Whether we'd find it or not, I don't think so.
How would it form? How would it evolve?
In the water droplets.
From science!
Well, is there any water on Venus anymore though? Because you have the ultraviolet light coming from the sun. It hits the H2 molecules, they split, and then what stays on there? One of them can reach escape velocity and leave the planet. So that's why there is no liquid water there.
That and the fact it's hotter than the sun.
Yes, and that. But that's why there's. I think it's more carbon dioxide. You've got the runaway greenhouse effect there, so it's just pretty much carbon dioxide up there.
Mm-hmm. Venus, a couple of interesting Venus flags. It rotates the opposite direction to all the other planets because fuck you. That's why.
Why?
You can't tell me which way to turn. You can't tell me.
Do we think that got hit by something?
Well, everything got hit by something at some point, didn't it?
Oh well. Okay, fine. Close the book.
No,
that's it. No,
I don't mean like that. I mean, there's so much stuff going around.
Hit you in a minute.
But I would assume that it was potentially from a collision, but then it's potential that Earth might have been going the other way at one point as well, and our collision spun us the other way. So,
yeah,
who knows?
Is that not where the moon comes from? Did we not get hit by something? That's one of the theories.
We literally spoke about that like 2 minutes ago.
Oh no, he was off doing something.
Oh, okay.
He was getting the penis picture,
Okay.
which was far more important at the time.
Well, yes, far be it for me to judge that, but yes.
Lee Metcalf in the chat room has said the surface of Venus is 465 degrees C, not hot enough to melt lead. There we go.
And Jim Moon says what happens on Venus stays on Venus. Damn right, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so apparently it's not hotter than the surface of the sun. My mistake.
I think the internals of Jupiter are hotter than the surface of the sun.
Well, we'll have to find out when we get there.
Yeah.
Jupiter!
Are we going to Jupiter now, or are we going to go via Mercury?
Oh, we may as well go via Mercury.
Okay. Let's go to Mercury. Okay. Mercury, no atmosphere whatsoever. It has an atmosphere, but that is just from the molecules that have been scorched off the surface by the sun. So when a molecule is detached from the surface of Mercury, it floats around a little bit, and then it gets jettisoned into deep space. That is the atmosphere. There's not enough molecules to bump into each other up there.
It is effectively getting like sandblasted at point blank range.
It's not a pretty place. It is. Hang on, let me open up the children's encyclopedia. Mercury. I'm sure it has the temperatures here. Nope, can't find them. Brilliant. Oh, no, here we go. Surface temperatures. Minus 180 degrees Celsius to 430 degrees Celsius. So that's... You ain't living there, mate. You ain't living there.
I wouldn't want to be perfectly honest. It seems a rather dull place.
Is there life on Mercury?
No.
It looks pretty barren from this picture.
What about the craters with ice in them?
Yeah, there are ice. It's more towards the pole, isn't it? Right on the Terminator between...
There are... there's craters at the North and South Pole which never see sunlight. And so that is where the ice lives.
I think, as always, if there's the possibility of liquid water, there's the possibility of life, as we know it. But
doesn't life need energy from somewhere? So, that's usually the sun, certainly here. Where else would they get it from if it was just in the water, if it wasn't in...
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's one of those ones where you can't never say never, but highly, highly, highly unlikely. Would be my thought.
I don't think we'll be probing there anytime soon.
Well, we have sent probes to Mercury. I don't know if anything landed, but we sent the Mariner probes there.
Which mapped it, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Metcalf points out Mercury is essentially a huge iron ball, so it's one of the strongest magnetic fields compared to its size.
Sweet. Oh, look, we got a scientist on the other end of the line. That's excellent.
Come on, Metcalf. Get your ass on here. Do it. Do it now. Bring some respectability to this thing. Because we're making it up as we go along.
It's also very hard to see Mercury as well. We have to see it in transit of the moon, of the sun.
Yes, and even then it's
only
best
appears 13 times each century.
Is that all?
Apparently.
Have you got a children's book there?
I've got the solarsystem.nasa.gov website.
Oh, good man. Good man.
So that sounds legit to me. I'd go with that.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Onward and outwards then, I suppose.
Okay. Quick swing around the sun. Anything interesting about the sun?
You can time travel by going around it.
Correct.
You can only in a Klingon bird of prey or a Constitution class starship. But we don't grade those because it messes our scoring system up.
Anyway, you can plug that at the end, mate. You can plug it at the end.
I'm just saying. You know, time travel it gets wibbly wobbly.
Yeah. Okay, asteroids or asteroid belt.
Ah, the asteroid belt. So here's an interesting thing. So you know, NASA's currently building the Orion spacecraft, which is the replacement effectively to Apollo.
Yep.
We'll just take that the whole shuttle thing was just this diversion. So one of the missions that it's slated for, so it's going to do a launch in 2018 to go around the moon. But the next mission it's slated for after that is to go and capture a near-Earth asteroid.
When you say capture, what? Capture it and then remove it from its orbit? Or
Yep.
Really? And then bring it back to where?
I think they're talking about bringing it into a lunar orbit. So in
Okay.
orbit of the moon, yes.
Does anyone else get to say yes or no on this?
What? Whether or not it's a good idea or not?
Yeah.
No.
So that they can just do it and then, oh, sorry, it found its way plummeting
yeah.
to the Earth.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right, I can't see any good coming of that. I know.
You say that.
I know
say,
for science.
Let's see how November goes, because some good might well come of that.
Yeah. Christ.
Well, according to the NASA website, we have 3 missions present in the asteroid belt at the moment, or studying asteroids. The Hayabusa 2, the Dawn, and the Cassini. If you bear with me, I can find out what they're doing.
Well, one of them's on its way to Ceres, which is a dwarf planet there. I don't know
The
which.
Cassini is on its way to Saturn.
Uh-huh.
Ceres takes 4.6 Earth years to orbit the Sun.
4.6 Earth years. Wow. So 4.6 years is what you were saying.
Yeah. Look in the Children's Space Encyclopedia. It says Earth years, so I have to go with that. If I don't
Fair.
say that,
Yeah.
then I screw up.
That's true, because 4.6 Earth years is just one Ceres year.
Gonna move on.
That's the Dawn that's looking at that, by the way.
Ah, there you go.
There you go. I am keeping up, honest.
Okay. Jupiter. We're at Jupiter.
Incidentally, Mr. Medcalf points out that Cassini has already arrived at Saturn and has taken a blue dot picture. So I suspect your NASA website's like.
Do I believe Lee or do I believe NASA?
I believe Lee in this instance.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Are you on the NASA site from 1997?
I don't know. It just
Wait.
says NASA.
Did we accidentally time travel when we went around the sun just now?
It could possibly have happened. Yes.
Great Scott, Marty.
Right, Jupiter. We're at Jupiter.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, where are we on the pixels things? We're at 44 light minutes. Still pitch black space. I don't know where we are. There's no map of where we are. What's that? No, that's just languages. Why would I want different languages in space? I'm not changing the language. 44 light minutes out, so we're doing well. Anyway, yeah, at Jupiter. Right, there's lots to talk about at Jupiter.
There is. Jupiter's an interesting planet.
It has. If you you can fit all the other planets in the solar system into Jupiter,
You can?
which just blows my mind on how humongous this place is. You can fit 1,200 Earths inside it.
2 inside the big red spot.
Yep. There is another red spot as well.
Mm-hmm. There's several.
Yeah, but there was one that they want to collide with the Great Red Spot. The Great Red Spot is the big storm that everyone knows about. There's also lots of little white spots, storms that are churning around constantly through the clouds on Jupiter. One of them turned red. It I think 2 white spot storms merged, and then they dug deeper. I think they get the colour from when they dig deeper down through the cloud layers. And now you have at least two red spots flinging around, and they almost merge every single time they meet up, but they haven't yet. So I think scientists are just really gagging for that to happen at some point.
They might be in for a bit of a wait.
Well, how long has the red spot been raging for?
At least 186 years, possibly more than 350.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember the Schumacher-Levy 9
Yes.
comet?
Yes.
The one that was hanging in the sky, you could see it for quite a while. Launching itself into Jupiter. Did it break up or something? It was like 7 parts or something.
It broke up on effectively just before it impacted, yeah.
I think didn't it pass Jupiter, and then Jupiter broke it up into several parts.
No, it impacted with Jupiter. There was
No, but it broke it up before. It passed Jupiter and then broke it up, and then it hit.
then dragged it. Yeah, probably because lots of gravity going on out there.
And
because that's the big benefit that the solar system has from Jupiter, isn't it? Because it picks up all these. Well, certainly for ourselves, it picks up all these things that fly past and directs them away from us. Basically, that's
it's
why
good guy
get hit.
Jupiter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big Dyson in space.
Yeah.
Do
you want to know how many moons? Guess how many moons it has?
Go on, then. How many moons does it have?
I mean, obviously, I'll check with Lee. But according to NASA, it has 67.
And probably growing as well. They're finding
50
them all the
confirmed, 17 more unconfirmed.
Sweet.
Although this was, of course, in 1997.
It's entirely possible they found more now because there's new probes out there. You've had Juno just arrived as well to look at the Jupiter system and the great moons there. I mean, the main moons there's Io, Europa, Ganymede, and I'm missing another one. Help me out here, people.
Europa, Callisto.
The Galilean moons. Yeah, Callisto, that's the other one. Yeah, they're the Galilean moons, which were the ones which Galileo let me go. Discovered.
Figaro. Oh. No.
Europa of those is probably the single most interesting object in the solar system as far as I'm concerned.
I was going to say, if we were at Jupiter, it's worth talking about that one, because if you're going to find life anywhere else, there's a good chance it's going to be there.
Okay, explain why. Well, actually, before we do that, I'm just going to reset the Mixler. For anyone that's listening on the podcast,
we've had a cliffhanger.
Yeah, we're recording this live on the Mixler. I'm just going to reset everything, so people in the chat room, just refresh the page and it'll just pop back up, and so you'll join us again. People on the podcast, you'll just hear me faffing around for 30 seconds, and then we'll be back and going again. So, if I just do this... Okay, so there we go. We're back. So, why do we want to talk about Europa?
Because the scientists believe that underneath Europa's icy surface are warm, liquid oceans of water.
Okay, how do they know this, though?
I suspect they're doing it through a lot of spectrography or something like this. It's basically analysing how light and radar reflects off of the surface, and observations from. There's been a number of probes which have gone through the Jovian system, dating all the way back to Voyager. And then you had the Galileo probe, spent a lot of time pouncing around there in the late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, they believe there's water. They don't know for certain. It's entirely possible that it's ice all the way down to a core. But from what they've seen from tectonics and temperature measurements and science, they think there's a very good chance for these liquid oceans there. So what they want to do is do a mission, but what they would like it so they want to basically get under the ice and see what's there.
Yeah.
So they've got an idea to effectively send a miniature submarine there. But what it would have to do is it would have to sterilize itself to make sure there was no contamination of life on Europa from life on Earth, because we don't have the best of records when it comes to visiting new places with new life and not wiping them all out.
Yeah, we're not the best at that, are we?
We are not.
But couldn't we put something inside something else? So you have the two drill parts. So the first part goes into the ice and then just leave it to ice over again. And then that opens up and this sterile thing from inside comes out and that continues to drill down.
It's still... The way I heard they were planning on doing it is they would drill into the ice, effectively let it freeze over behind it, and then flood the entire thing with some sort of chemical to just kill anything on the probe, and then carry on down into the to the ocean underneath that. The other problem they have, though, is how do you control it, and how do you receive data from it? They haven't quite figured out those problems yet.
Yeah. Hello, Lee, by the way.
Hello.
Hey!
Hey. Hello. Yeah.
Someone who knows what they're talking about. Thank God you're here.
I'm only here for a little while. Don't worry. I'm not going to completely storm the podcast.
Pass the controls over.
All I was going to say was one of the reasons.
Responsible adults here. Thank God.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. Now everyone, just stand in a line. Come on. Put all your packed lunches down. Oh. One of the reasons they know that there's water on Europa, and one of the reasons why they know it's still active, is because it's smooth.
Like a baby's bottom.
Well,
Yes,
not like a baby's bottom, but the fact is that it's smooth but with cracks in it, and so it's got no pock marks, no asteroid hits, nothing, and that basically implies that essentially whatever's getting hit and whatever's being broken up is immediately being filled with whatever is underneath the surface. Now it could be methane, it could be anything, but essentially the plan, the composition that they've got from certain stuff coming off of Europa, I don't think it was Juno. Obviously, it was what was the last one out there?
It was Galileo, wasn't it?
Yeah, and basically they did a mass spectrometry of it.
That's the word I was looking for.
And essentially, yes, it's almost entirely certain it's water now, and but it's not as interesting as one other one, which is suddenly a moon that's come into.
Is this the Saturn one?
Yeah, Enceladus.
Yep.
There you go. Who I think we've already had picked, haven't we? Who picked that?
No, that's still up for.
Is it? Oh, okay.
To be caught.
I don't know anything about this one. What's going on, Lee?
Okay, well, Enceladus is interesting because it's one of the brightest objects in the solar system, because it is entirely frozen water, and it's essentially it's renewing its atmosphere, or rather, it's renewing its surface, and they know it's definitely water because they actually flew Cassini through it.
It had a geyser eruption, didn't it?
Well, it has it all the time. It's essentially what's essentially helping make the rings around Saturn.
Yeah.
Because it has on it, it's almost completely smooth, brilliant white, except for what's like 4 or 5 tiger stripes. That's what they call them. And essentially they're huge fissures, the sort of width and depth of like the Grand Canyon that goes down into the surface of this thing. And because Enceladus gets close to Saturn and in a way, because it's got an elliptical orbit, it's literally like someone's rubbing it like a ball. You know, when you get like a little squash ball and you squeeze and compress it, and it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. Well, that's what's happening to Enceladus. So the inside of it, the interior of it, is actually heating up. And so the water is melting, and then the pressure builds up, and these 5 cracks basically fire water out into the ring of Saturn.
I've just put a picture of it on the chat.
So did we know about this before we sent these probes past?
No.
Or, because we did know about Europa, didn't we? We had a good idea.
We
thought
suspected before that. Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as Enceladus goes, it was literally a case of they didn't know what it was. They could, because I saw, I went to one of these things with Brian Cox and Robin Ince kind of thing, and they had the lady who ran the Cassini project actually doing a little sort of talk as part of it. And they actually did this whole thing of suddenly noticing that Enceladus, which was a moon they had no idea pretty much even was there for pretty much all of it, then they sort of noticed it was extremely bright. and that Cassini could get close to it, and then they noticed that it actually had like this smudge on the side of it, and it was spraying like a fountain, like hundreds of kilometers into the air, water.
They accidentally
Wow.
caught that as well, didn't they? They turned the cameras around and caught it in the sunlight.
That's right. And so then what they did was, for another pass round, they actually altered the mission and sent Cassini through the plume. And basically that's when they confirmed it was water.
Wow.
That's flipping awesome, though, isn't it?
Amazing, isn't it?
Yay, science!
So all those, so we're still discovering great stuff just round the corner as space goes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so that is actually now, you know, Europa's interesting and everything, but now that's the one where they say if there's going to be life, it's going to be there because you've got water, you've got heat, and you've got light.
So what are they going to do then? Because I know there's 1,000,001 Europa missions being planned. Is there any to this place?
I don't think so. There's no.
Is it so new that they're not really?
There's currently half a dozen proposed concepts to it, but nothing's been signed off as yet because NASA being NASA, they're kind of blinkered on Orion and stuff at the minute. So
And as much as anything, this whole discovery with Enceladus is literally like it's not like last week or anything, but it's certainly in NASA terms, it's been like last week. It's literally like, I mean, I think they did. Cassini went through Enceladus in December last year, and so they really only started spotting it and observing it for sort of 2012, 2010 onwards. And so it's really rather new. So really, even if they started like as soon as they spotted it, let alone going around Saturn for a year to sort of finally catch up with it and go through this plume, you know, they've got no idea what they were planning for. So you know, any mission.
I was thinking more just because, you know, there is so much planned already. There's only so much resources that can go around.
It's also orbital mechanics. You can only do missions to planets at certain times when everything's lined up right. So
yeah.
You
And when you think that a probe's going to take 10, 15 years to get out there, you need to be thinking 10, 15 years ahead and also lining up orbits, as Andy said. So, yeah.
There's one, an ESA NASA mission called the Titan Saturn Systems mission, which is apparently going to launch in 2020. And it was only to do Titan originally, but it's been modified to do Enceladus as well now. So there you go. 2020. So, and that's due to arrive sometime between 2029 and 2038. So,
How depressing.
A bit of a wait.
So by the time we get anything back as far as useful data and analysing all the hydrocarbons they're hoping is in it, you know, it'll be about sort of 2040. So how old will we be then? I mean,
Rod, get off my lawn.
Well, I was going to say I'm 40 now, and so that's another 30 years. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be in my 70s by the time they actually get to do something.
You'll be retired though.
I don't know. Do you think you'll have gotten to episode 300 of A Black Dog by then?
Entirely sure. Yeah. So there you go. I mean,
this is assuming Donald Trump doesn't kill us all before then.
Well, exactly. Yeah. In which case, we may have to make a quick mad dash for Enceladus.
It might get bumped up a little bit.
I think actually, on a serious point, would he be bad for the space program?
Yeah,
very much.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought he'd be the kind of nutcase that would just think, you know, America's brilliant, throw money at this thing.
Would you let Mr. Blobby drive an aircraft carrier?
Well, he wouldn't be making the decisions.
No, he would.
Would he?
That's the problem.
Ah, right.
Yeah,
I mean, he wouldn't be making the decisions for NASA. It'd just be deciding on how much money they get, surely.
No. He's the kind of guy who go, yeah, nice planet. Yeah, we're going to go and nuke it. Do it. Build me a spaceship. We're going there. That's yeah.
He'd want a hotel on there by
Or
2030.
a golf course, yeah.
It's a mission to the moon to paint Trump in giant letters on the moon. And that's all of NASA's funding gone, just on that.
But they've already drawn a penis on Mars.
Yeah. Dear. Oh, by the way, one last little fact, because I'll leave you guys to it, otherwise I'll just stomp all over your conversations.
So I want to pick your brains on one thing in a sec.
Okay. Quick pop quiz. Go on. How many moons does Earth have? And you can throw this out to the chat room as well. How many moons does Earth actually have?
It depends. Which season of QI are we referring to?
4.
How many moons does Earth have?
Yep.
And we're talking not artificial moons, so we're talking natural satellites.
Yep.
Hang on.
Yeah. Happily tap tap tap. Google.
I don't know. I'm gonna say one.
One moon.
One moon.
The
There's-
NASA solarsystem.nasa.gov says one moon.
Yeah, well, that's the trick, you see, because there is only one thing called the moon. But as far as what the moon is, which is essentially a natural satellite caught in the orbit of the Earth, there is actually about sort of at any one time there's about 10 to 12,000.
What, just like little rocks?
Yeah, some as big as a washing machine, others are sort of like proper big asteroids. But
There was one which we caught recently, which has been spinning around us and the moon. We picked it up at a Lagrange point.
yeah, we kind of intercepted it. It got caught in our orbit, and then sort of got caught inside between us and the moon. And then basically flicked on out, but then the moon caught it again, and it's kind of been going around us. But there's actually about anywhere between 10 to X amount thousands of moons going around us.
How close are these things? Do they interfere with satellites and spacecraft and things?
No. They all stay.
They're really far out. Okay.
Yeah, some of them are really far out. Some of them come in. Some of them are on massively elongated elliptical orbits. Some are on circular orbits, but they're so far out that they're basically getting further and further away. And so there you go. That's also why the moon is so pockmarked. Not just asteroids smashing into it, but it's also other stuff that the Earth caught and keep bumping into it.
We only have, I think, one satellite in a orbit around Earth, which is out past the moon, because low Earth orbit is a lot lower. Well, I suppose it's better to say the moon's a lot further out than people probably realise.
Well, there are balance points as well, aren't there, on orbits?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you said,
Lagrange.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to get their pronunciations right as well. Lagrange, Enceladus, Ceres, Circes.
No one's listening. Brian Cox is not going to phone up and talk to us about this, so it's fine.
Or how do you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's on Twitter all the time. He's got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
What's to say he hasn't already jumped on the chat room and listened and just gone, oh, fuck those guys, they can't pronounce.
He's already smashed his computer. He's the guy that was tearing strips of skin off his face.
Yeah, that's it.
But there is a satellite out past the moon, and it's the one which occasionally gives you photos of the moon crossing between it and the Earth. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't seen that, no.
All right, let's see if we can find one of these for you. Because it was originally called Goresat. Well, it wasn't actually called Goresat, but Al Gore proposed it. It eventually got launched, and now it gives us these. It's the Deep Space Climate Observatory. That's the fancy name for it. And there we go.
Isn't there a myth that there's a teapot floating in between Mars and Jupiter?
No. That was used by that was the thing used by was it Richard Dawkins?
Yeah, if it could happen, then it's there. Or if you can
Yeah,
think about
no,
it, it's there.
it was more to sort of disprove the kind of assumption theory with religion. You know, that we know God's out there because he's out there because we know. And then to which his reply is, well, if I tell you that there's a teapot orbiting Saturn, would you believe me? And they go, no. And he goes, but I've told you it's out there. And so that's the kind of, disproving the nature of faith, because people sort of go, well, actually, I know that's patently ridiculous because I can't see it and no one knows about it and we'd be talking about it by now. Whereas,
What about a Babel fish? Because that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah, exactly. It proves you exist, so therefore you don't. UED. But no. So the whole point is, that if you have faith that God exists, then surely you must have faith that the teapot exists. It became the spaghetti monster in other versions.
Yeah.
Why doesn't this thing exist? You can't see it. why? Tell me why it doesn't exist. Because it's ridiculous. Oh, but a sky wizard with a big beard who decides that he's going to kill us all with a flood and then basically try and make things better by nailing himself to a cross in the form of his own son and then leaving us alone for 2,000 years. That's all fine. So, yeah.
I posted that picture, by the way, of the moon crossing the Earth.
Oh,
so.
okay. I will be checking that out in a sec.
Mm.
While I've got you on here,
Yes.
Lee, too, Jupiter,
Yes.
and it being a proton star or protostar.
Protostar.
Let's have this conversation. This is the episode where it happens.
Settle in, folks. This is a long one.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen now.
Right, okay.
So what are your arguments for it? You think it's possibly a protostar?
It's not possibly a protostar. That's what a protostar is. It's, a hot Jupiter, if you will.
Yeah.
But basically, a massive, super dense collection of gas held together by gravity by its own mass via a central core, which eventually the pressure gets so much that the thing ignites. If it isn't heavy enough and it isn't big enough, then it doesn't ignite. So it just sits like a big ball of gas.
The problem with Jupiter is pretty much the biggest planets can get.
Right.
That's a
No,
fact.
they found larger planets, exoplanets.
Yeah. And they found larger suns as well. I mean,
yeah.
Oh no, they found larger suns, but we're talking about planets.
Yeah, no, they found larger exoplanets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They found one which was about 4 times the size of Jupiter. It was like an Earth-style planet that was 4 times the mass of Jupiter.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah.
I missed that memo. Because Jupiter at the moment it is as large as it can get. You need to have 13. It needs to gain the 13 times its mass to become a red dwarf.
Well, I heard it was 80 times its mass to start fusion.
No, yeah, it's 60 times to become a mainline star.
Mm-hmm.
The point still remains that that's how a star starts.
It has the ingredients.
Yeah, but that's what they all are.
There's no way that fucker's going to fire up.
No, it's not going to fire up on its own. You're not going to wake up one morning all of a sudden and go, oh, look, it's a star. How did that happen?
It's not going to fire up on its own, but it's there. It's a failed star. That's what it is. It's a star that never got off the ground.
You get yourself a few monoliths. It'll take care of it.
Yeah, in the same way as you got out there in the deep space, you got stellar nurseries. How do they work?
Well, they work by collections of cold gas coming together.
Right. Okay. And so, what is Jupiter?
It's far too small to be considered.
At present, yes.
And I'm not arguing whether it's far too small or not. You asked, do Jupiter planets or Jupiter itself, could it be a protostar? The answer is yes.
Okay.
It's a big ball of gas. It just wasn't big enough to ignite and turn into a star.
Okay, cool. Brilliant.
That's a nutshell.
Is Jupiter getting bigger then?
No, it's not. If it gets more mass, it actually gets smaller.
Because everything pulls in more. There's more gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you gain the mass, you create it, and then it starts condensing down on itself. Then ignition.
But it's entirely possible that if we were to ever achieve something like a Type 2 civilization, it's entirely possible that we could be advanced enough to ignite it ourselves.
Mm.
And why would we do that?
Because it's fair!
Because we're idiots and we will do this stupid shit until we all die off one way or the other.
Yeah.
By the way, there are extrasolar planets TRES4b, otherwise known as CT Camelorontis.
Catchy names.
Yeah, it's good. It's actually 2.2 times the size of Jupiter.
But what about the mass of it? Because there are planets that are bigger, but they have the consistency of cork, and so they would be bigger, but they're not.
Well, the most
most
massive one we know of is called, and this is going to be a string of numbers, so bear with me. It's Dennis P J082327 03.1-49121b, or Barry to his friends, and that is 28.5 times the size of Jupiter and 1.8 times the masses. No, wait, I read that wrong. It's 28.5 times then some weird equation 1.9 Jupiter masses. It's very big. It's they say it's potentially too massive to be a planet. It might actually be a brown dwarf.
Yeah, and also while we're talking about mass, don't get hung up on how big or how heavy something is, because that doesn't really equate to much. It has to be. There's a whole of combinations of stuff. I mean, like if you look at a neutron star can actually only have some neutron stars have been measured only having a radius of about 11 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a teaspoon of neutron star, it'll weigh more than the bloody Earth.
And they're spinning many times per second as well.
Yeah. So, a tiny one neutron star, I can't remember what one it is. It's like 1.5 times the density of the sun. So if you go by density, then neutron stars are real stars, and our sun isn't a star. You talk yourself in circles if you start getting too hooked up on just one particular facet of a thing.
No, but that is down. From what I have discovered and heard and listened to and read about Jupiter, that is pretty much the mass, the maximum mass that you can have as a planet before it starts pulling down on itself and then starts heating up. Because at the moment, Jupiter is putting out more light than what it is absorbing as well. Because of all the internal combustion not combustion, but the internal forces that are going on inside it.
Right. Basically, hold on, I'm just Googling this up now, right?
Hands up who isn't Googling.
Yeah, exactly. Hands up who isn't Googling.
Doreen says, is this argument not about people trying to classify things rather than anything else? Well, maybe, but Elton's had this bee in his bonnet about Jupiter being...
Ever since 2010, basically.
No, it was before then as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Sorry, that
think,
was a time
though...
joke.
Very, very good. Well done.
Yeah.
It's good. But, yeah, but basically, what the problem of the whole thing comes about because essentially it's the components of Jupiter are essentially a star waiting to happen. It's just not got the mass or the volume or the gravitational pull to make it into basically instigate fusion. And once it does, that would be it. It would be a star, regardless of its size, how long it lasts, anyone's guess. But it needs just a little bit of a push to turn it into a star, essentially. So, yes. In answer, yes, it is a protostar. It is classed as a planet because it has remained as a planet, but it has the potential to become a star given the right set of circumstances.
Cool.
There you go.
Brilliant. Let's put that to rest then.
Never
mention that again.
The way you say it makes me think that we'll be talking about this in 10 years' time and you'll bring it up again and I'll leap down the internet and throttle you or something.
I can't see that happening. I can't see it happening at all. Me regurgitating titles and topics, I don't think so. That's never going to happen.
Next week, biscuits.
So, did we do Saturn?
No. Would you like to move on to Saturn?
Well,
I think so, because that gets us closer to Uranus, which is what we're all waiting for.
Obviously.
I think we should just skip it altogether.
What, and go straight to Uranus?
No, skip Uranus. They're all waiting for it. It's too easy.
I've heard that.
Uranus is too easy. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I'll leave me one last other little Saturn fact, and then I'll leave you guys to it, because otherwise it'll all just be me going blah blah blah, NASA, blah blah blah, and you can carry on trolling me because I'm not taking Prometheus. No.
Are you not going to give the anecdote of the book and the 30 centimeter string?
Oh, yeah. Well, I did do it on the group. Yeah, basically, yeah. No, that was just measurements of distance and time, and basically, I don't even know how I'll get this related to this thing, but basically, I have proved that Jupiter is only 30 minutes away, and it's all a big cover-up by NASA. It is all a big cover-up, because when I was in Chelmsford, we didn't know the area. Carol and I and a friend were going to go scout the area, and we were like, well, we don't want to go too far. So, basically on the map, let's see. Well, we know down to about here is about 30 minutes drive. So I'll tell you what, let's just get a piece of string that's that long and we'll draw a big old circle around, and that's a 30-minute radius, essentially. So, okay, fair enough. But then all of a sudden it started getting a bit silly. Drinks were had, mistakes were made, and I got this piece of string, and then I opened up the big book of planets and saw that the map on the solar system from Earth to Jupiter was exactly the length of that piece of string. So I know that the distance from Mount Nesting to Chelmsford is the same as from Earth to Jupiter. 30 minutes. Proof. Fact.
Genius.
Is that how long a piece of string is? 30
It
minutes?
is. 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. How
That's-
long a piece of string? 30 minutes.
That goes in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. It's double the distance from the middle to the end. There you
Correct.
go. Thank you.
Go on, Saturn fact that you wanted to drop in.
Yeah, that basically due to a number of weather fronts that are going on underneath the surface, and also what people are theorizing as being a really weird rock formation at the poles. Basically, at the top of Saturn and at the bottom of Saturn, you have hexagonal clouds.
Yes, I've seen them. That's to do with that storm's conversion, isn't it?
Yep, storm fronts converging from 4 or 5 different directions, and essentially the calm spot is at the poles, and so you get this kind of whole thing of massive pressure fronts just hitting each other at oblique angles, and you get sort of a hexagonal clouds on the top and the bottom, which is also now meaning that you get hexagonal, which is what they just photographed only a couple of days ago, actually, hexagonal northern lights around.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
There you go.
So cool. The photos of the hexagonal storm is just amazing. I flipping love it.
Have they got photos of those?
Yeah, I'm just Googling it up now. Hexagonal clouds on Saturn. There you go. This is the best one on the view. Let's get that picture there. Copy. Drop it in there.
Ninja. Haha.
Ta-da! Yeah. Oh, well.
Look at that.
But there's also one with I think there's one with Northern Lights as well. Hold on.
You got to love Saturn just for the rings, though. It's like the quintessential pretty planet because it's got rings. Other planets have rings, but they phoned it in. They're like
Elton.
Yes.
It looks like a boob.
you might need to tell someone to go and see a doctor, mate.
Yeah.
Do I ask, when was the last time you saw a boob?
Don't ask that.
We're passing Saturn.
Are we passing it? There it is!
There it is.
Missed it.
We've reached Saturn in light time. Light minutes, even.
There you go.
Saturn.
And there's Titan.
How many light minutes was it?
17. Well, we passed it at 79.9.
Oh, I'm just coming up to it then. I left slightly later.
There's always one, isn't there?
There it is.
We asked you, were you ready to go?
Just needed a wee just before we left.
Oh, and there's Titan.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a colour picture of the hexagonal thingy. Anyway, so there you go. So that's one thing. Yeah, and also the part of the reason why the rings look the way they do is because instead of just being like a bunch of ice and dust and crap that is just caught in Saturn's sort of gravitational field, they're actually being kept in place by shepherd moons, which are actually basically acting like little shepherds running
Little
between
anchors, kind of
Little
keeping everything
anchors.
in place.
Yeah. So there's these tiny little moons that are just with enough gravity just being held in place by Saturn, but their own gravity is basically keeping the rings in place.
It's such a cool place.
Yeah.
It really is.
And here's a little picture of one of those little shepherd moons.
The rings themselves, they're only, maybe 10 kilometers thick?
Less than that, I think. They're quite thin. They're really...
They're very thin.
Mm.
They're crazy. And when you see them for the first time through a telescope, it's just breathtaking.
Yeah, we went to, when we were on honeymoon, Carol and I went to was it Uluru, Ayers Rock and whatever and we went at like 5 o'clock in the morning out this astronomy tour, and they literally had like one of these massive great big telescopes which was motorized, and so it was literally just tracking Saturn across the sky, and you could just walk up and look straight through it. And because there's like no light spill at all around sort of like Ayers Rock and the outback and everything, all you could see the Milky Way, and you could see Saturn as clear as day. It was amazing.
Yeah, the rings apparently are an average thickness of 20 meters.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yep. There you go. Yeah. Oh, and there was also, there was you know what I was saying about the moon. The moon's keeping everything nice and neat.
Yes.
Occasionally, one of them goes a bit funny and goes through the rings, and then you get this lovely little issue here. There you go. Take a look at that.
Is that the spokes?
No. Oh, I don't know if you want to call it spokes, but you can actually see where the rings have ruffled up.
Is it just dragging bits of stuff as it goes?
Yeah. Yeah. If you have a look at that picture I put in the chat.
Let's have a look.
And just there, it's actually like a little mountainous cloud system.
It's like it's collided with it.
Yeah, it literally just skims the edge and then ruffles everything up.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So
Cool,
isn't it? It's pretty smart, pretty swish. Anyway,
got to love orbital mechanics.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway, is there anything else that you'd like to say before I cut you off? Oh no, I just cut him off. Been wanting to do that for ages. Not to cut him off, just to do it to someone. There we go. Right, so we're at Saturn then.
We are at Saturn, yes. Currently enjoying its lovely rings.
Lovely.
One of the NASA's 10 things you need to know about Saturn. If the sun were as tall as a typical front door, the Earth would be the size of a nickel, and Saturn would be about as big as a basketball.
Really?
There you go.
There, Jim Moon put something in the chat room about sizes and distances.
It was the Somerset Walk, wasn't it?
Right, hang on. Wait there.
Oh, that was Jack posted that, so yeah.
Right, I will find it. It is definitely there somewhere. It was something to do with Doctor Who, I do believe. Come on, internet, you're not working for me. It's definitely here. I should have had it up ready. Right, there's some moons. Here it is. Right. I'll put it in the chat room. I'll put this. Let me copy this. It is called. It's from a 1978 Doctor Who annual, and it's a solar system in assorted fruits. It's wonderful. Right, let me put this in the chat room. Here we go. Go check that out. And it says, I think the sun has to be a beach ball, which is in 12 inches diameter. If it was, then Mercury would be a mustard grain, and it would be 164 feet away. Then you move on to Venus, which is the size of a pea, and that is 284 feet away from the sun. The Earth would be a size of a pea at 430 feet away. The moon would be a grain of mustard, 13 feet away from the Earth. Then you have Mars, which would be a current, 654 feet away from the Sun. Jupiter would be an orange, and that would be half a mile away. Half a mile away! So if you ever see an orange on the street where you are, just randomly, like a road apple maybe,
Then you know you're only half a mile away from a current.
yeah. Saturn would be a tangerine, and that would be 4/5 of a mile away. Uranus would be next. It says Uranus is a plum, and there were some wonderful comments in there. It was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Uranus would be a plum, and that would be just over a mile away. Neptune would also be a plum, and that would be 2.5 miles away. And Pluto, because it was still a planet at the time, it would be a pinhead in a variable orbit 3 miles away. 3 miles away.
Seems a long way to go for a fucking pin.
And just the
I
head
can
as
see
well.
why they got rid
Not
of
even
it.
the whole
They-
pin.
They were sick and tired of having to walk 3 miles to set up these bloody solar system models. They thought, let's just fuck off with Pluto. We'll stick with the 8. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's going to walk that far.
No.
Someone did the didn't someone do the solar system on the salt plains?
Yes, they did.
And
Actually,
then
I think it was Brian Cox actually for one of his BBC shows.
and they put the planets on backs of cars orbiting a beach ball.
Yeah, they had lights on as well, didn't they? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to find that on YouTube now. Not now. I won't, because that would just slaughter my internet. Yeah. Okay. So where are we? Sorry, Lee. What I
We're
interrupted
still
you
we're
there.
still in Saturn.
Oh no,
Okay.
I only gave the one fact. You're fine. It was big as a basketball compared to a door.
And there's always that fact that it floats as well. If there was a bathtub big enough.
I don't like saying that. It's less dense than water. That's a better way to put it.
I don't like saying that, because if you had a bathtub big enough to fit Saturn in, imagine the gravitational pull from that
Yeah,
bathtub.
I was going to say, all of a sudden you've got a whole different. You've opened up a massive kettle of fish here just by having this massive bathtub of water.
Yeah.
And where did you get this water anyway? There's not that much water in the bloody solar system, damn it.
Uh-huh. And what's it connected to? Where's it coming from? Whose meter is it on?
Yeah.
gonna
Armitage
clean
Shanks
that
does not
fucker as
build
well?
fucking.
I think there would definitely be a
Facilities that big.
hosepipe ban if we had to fill that bath.
Yeah. So yeah, but
At least that.
at least that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Saturn is the prettiest place, would you say?
Oh, it's definitely the trussed up whore of the solar system.
Yeah, I suppose when you get down to it, Earth is a very pretty place.
Earth is very pretty as well, yeah. But we're not going around some gaudy bloody ring system now, are we?
No.
No.
Although it would be nice to see if we did have one when the moon was being formed.
There's a video of that somewhere showing if it had a ring system like Saturn and what it would be like from various places. Mm-hmm. I'll see if I can find it and post it in the chat. But it's it would be very pretty to see.
Jack Woodgate says the rubber duck in that bathtub would be terrifying.
That's no other duck. It's a space station.
Oh, what were the Mr. and Mrs. Suds things? Oh,
Was it the sailor?
yeah.
I know ones you mean, yeah.
They'd be
Yeah, I
fucking mahoossive, wouldn't they? That'd be scary. Scary shit. Right, okay. Should we move on?
Yes.
Dare we?
Go on. I suppose we must. I'm going to post a video of Earth with Saturn's rings, though, first.
Okay. What else has rings around it?
Jupiter.
Yeah?
Neptune.
Yeah?
I believe Eurectum does.
It certainly does. It has partial rings, though, doesn't it? Or no, is that Neptune that has the partial rings?
No, I think Neptune's got a more distinct one because Neptune's ones go effectively north to south, it's on a vertical axis as opposed to a horizontal axis because it's weird.
So Uranus is a weird place, yes?
So I'm told.
It's tipped at 60 degrees on its side.
Yeah, and Uranus is the one with the vertical ring system, it would seem. So yeah,
right. Yeah, so it's tipped on its side, and for half of its life, it spends the North Pole facing the sun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not tidally locked, shall we say?
No.
And then the other half of its life, it spends with the South Pole, just facing the sun. So it's not a place. If it was a terrestrial planet, because these are the ice planets now.
No, it's still a gas giant here.
It is a gas giant, but they are classed as ice giants.
Okay.
You have the gas giants of Jupiter and Saturn, and then you have I think it's more. They have a more solid compound to them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, because Saturn and Jupiter are more hydrogen and helium, and these are more ammonia, methane, ice, kind of like hydrocarbons, stuff like that. These are the sort of planets where, if we ever get out into the solar system, probably good places to go harvesting for resources. Just a long way away.
Yeah. If you're going to set off anything, then you might as well set it off over here. Interesting fact, it was discovered in 1781 by William Herschel.
Ah, yes. 84 years to tot around the sun.
That's crazy.
One day is 17 hours.
Yep. Any moons?
It does have a few
27 moons, apparently. Named after characters from the works of William Shakespeare and Alexander Pope.
Okay, so what ones do we have that are from there? Okay, Uranus moons.
There's Miranda, Ariel, Umbriel, Titania, and Oberon. They're the main ones.
Right, okay. Anything
which
else?
Are all from they're not all from A Midsummer's Night Dream, but Miranda, Titania, and Oberon are.
Cool.
Which is strange because all the other planets are pretty much kind of Greek and Roman mythology. But for Uranus, it was fuck you.
Was it a case of just as it was discovered, they were running out of Greek names?
Well, it's probably more to do with the fact that
who discovered it?
He who finds it names it.
Yeah.
And Herschel, being a upstanding British gentleman, such as he was he British? I think he's British. He might be German. Herschel sounds German, doesn't it?
Hang on, I'm Googling him. He is...
British. British, but of German origin.
Yes.
I was doubly right.
Well done. Good shot. Okay, so anything to say about Uranus?
It has a funny name.
It has... People say Uranus as well. Are you in the Uranus camp or Uranus camp?
Uranus, definitely.
You're pitching your tent in Uranus.
Absolutely.
It honestly doesn't get boring. It really doesn't.
I actually had to mute my microphone for a good 2 minutes to calm down when I was reading out some of the facts.
When you were in school and you're doing the solar system, this was the planet you were looking forward to.
Yes, yeah, indeed. Definitely. It has...
For example, Voyager 2 is the only spacecraft to have visited Uranus.
Oh, dear God. I'm 38 years old. I've been like this since school. Crying out loud. Grow up, Elton. Flipping hell. Sorry, Mr. Brian Cox, if you are listening. I'm sure you've turned off hours ago. It has winds that can reach 250 meters per second. Stop it. Stop it now. Winds can reach up to 250 meters per second on Uranus. He's muted himself as well, hasn't he?
I did. I'm back now. Hello.
Okay, right, where are we heading off to now? Do we want to look at any of the moons around Uranus?
I don't think we need to linger, really.
No.
There's a bad smell around here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, Neptune.
Neptune, there you go. Another one that's only been visited by one probe.
Was that Voyager 2 as well?
Yep.
What year did that go? I think that was 89 that it passed there.
Well, Voyager launched in 77. And
I
it
think
hit.
that's the one with the record on it, isn't it? The gold disc.
Voyager 1 and 2 both have the gold disc.
They both had that on. Okay.
Here we go. Voyager.
Lee would like to.
flyby.
Well, so there's a few things from the chat. Jack would like to know how big is Uranus. Doreen wants to know, is Uranus windy? And Lee points out that it has a big spot on it. You might want to get that checked, Lee. I'm just saying.
Oh dear. We really just did this episode just for the
Pretty
for
much.
this like
Pretty much.
10 minutes, didn't we? Oh. There are no blemishes on Uranus, actually. Shit, I think I just killed Lee.
Yeah.
I think you might get a medal next week at Blackdoor.
We're professionals. Come
on. So Voyager 2 flew by Neptune in 1989, so you were right.
Cool. Has the fastest winds recorded? People weren't expecting to have high winds out here because of the lack of sunlight. They thought the sunlight might excite that sort of stuff, that sort of action.
Mm-hmm.
But it has winds. The highest recorded wind speed on Neptune is 2,100 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
You would not stand a chance in that.
That's going to blow the bins over, isn't it?
Well, again, if gravity and the lack of oxygen didn't get you first, then yeah.
Just wheelie bins everywhere.
So we've got some breaking news once more from the chat. Lee would like to point out that there are in fact telemeters on Uranus, and has included some photos to point that out for you. Jack Woodgate is curious as to what is the centre of Uranus. He wants to know, does exposure to the sun affect it? And Lee also points out that there is a giant eye-like storm on Neptune, trying to bring it back from the brink. I respect that.
Well, this is a serious science show.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, moons of Neptune.
Good God.
What ones do we have there? No, hang on. Googling as we speak.
Hold on.
14, of which Triton is the largest.
Ah, Triton. Okay. What else do we have?
We've gone with a nautical theme here in Neptune, obviously.
Phoebe.
Mm-hmm.
The largest
Ross,
of them is
Rachel.
Protus. Protus?
That's not the largest. Oh, that's it discovers it. No, the largest is Triton.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think this is one of the small ones.
Mm.
Crying out loud. Let's move on.
Now, this fact I'm reading about Neptune says it's made a very thick, very hot combination of water, ammonia, and methane. Does the water and heat mean anything in terms of life, or is that just completely out?
It's probably cancelled out by the large amounts of ammonia and methane, but they do find life here on Earth in the black smokers, which are like mostly methane. Again, I think it's a case of you can't rule it out entirely, because there's only life as we know it. This might be life as we don't know it. But again, I think if it's there, it's going to be so different. There's no real need to go looking for it just yet.
Okay. Fair enough.
Plus, again, it takes like forever to get there. Incidentally, its orbital period of Neptune, 164.8 years.
So, yeah, oh my God. So, it's just astronomical. We'll never see a full...
I think it's maybe only just coming up to a full orbit from the point it was discovered.
Right.
It was discovered in 1846, so... Yeah.
That's crazy. I love it, though. I love... It's just... miles and miles and nothing. On that website that we started at the very beginning of the show, we've just broken 100 light minutes.
Wow.
And we're still in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy. Right. Anything after Neptune?
Oh, we get into what is referred to as Neptunian objects.
Okay, and the famous one of that is?
Pluto.
Okay, and we've just
A
flown
strange
by
child
there.
of the solar system.
We've flown by with the New Horizons probe.
And what gorgeous photos we had from there as well.
Well, not only gorgeous photos, but it was a case of, everyone kind of thought they had a handle on what Pluto was going to be. It was going to be a small, rocky kind of planet, nothing all that interesting and all that. And yet, how wrong they were. It was like nothing made sense. It shouldn't be geologically active, but the photos suggest that it is.
What have we seen on there?
Well, we've seen large mountain formations.
Yeah.
We've seen large, smooth plains with no impact craters or anything like that. So it suggests that the surface is being renewed, a bit like Europa and the Saturn planet, as it were. So yeah, it's just one of those things where we just don't quite know anything really. They're still downloading photos from the probe because it takes a long time for the data to transmit because it's on like a 28.8 megabit kbps modem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's just. I think everyone was in awe once we had these high resolution photos come back from Pluto. It was shocking, but in a nice way to have this. We were all expecting a really rocky, really impacted little world, which was
Something like Mercury, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think we would have thought any differently. I was watching a little documentary about this sort of thing, and there was some geezer on there talking about they don't want to go to Pluto. It's just a rock. It's just horrible and hideous and just full of craters, and you're not going to find anything on there. And you've got the absolute opposite of that.
Yeah.
It really is. It is one of the prettiest photo sets that we've ever had.
Oh, absolutely. It's been fascinating. You got this fantastic heart-shaped desert or something there. I don't even know what it's made up of. I mean, nitrogen and carbon monoxide are most abundant in the atmosphere. 'Cause, again, it's got an atmosphere, and that was just like, whoa. No one suspected that was the case either. Water ice has been detected on there as well, or at least heavily suggested.
Yep.
So, again, it's entirely possible there might be some form of life there, which again, it just seems like it shouldn't be the case, but it would appear that, again, potentially as a subsurface ocean of liquid water there, or water ice or something there, and it's just like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, well, it is in a binary dance with one of its biggest moons, Charon.
Charon, yeah.
Yeah, or Sharon. And they are all orbiting a central point. They're not. Sharon doesn't go around Pluto. Pluto doesn't go around Sharon.
Yeah, they effectively spin around each other.
Yeah,
because like you said, there's a central point there.
Do you reckon there's like tidal forces working here? Maybe.
Oh, that's very much likely to be the case of what's keeping Pluto geologically active. Because again, it's too far out to really get any significant heat from the sun.
Well, the sun isn't even the brightest star in the sky.
Yeah, it's just another dot.
Which just blows my mind. It really does.
I've just posted a picture in the chat of Pluto's atmosphere taken by New Horizons.
Right,
and it's gorgeous. It's just like looking at like Earth's atmosphere almost, you know?
Let's have a look. I forgot that they found an atmosphere there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just... Oh. Ah, yes. Wow. Right, what I'm seeing is just...
Oh, look at that.
It's like one of the end shots of The Ring.
It's like something out of 2001. You just need the music playing, you know, and then, baby!
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, it's so pin-sharp gorgeous, though.
Yeah. I mean, let's just take a moment to acknowledge the probes that have gone out there, New Horizons as well,
has an ion drive, which is fucking awesome to begin with. But I mean, the amount of technology they can stick on these probes these days is amazing. And I mean, the fact that, again, they can calculate exactly where this tiny little probe has to go using gravity assist to swing by, the sun and Jupiter to get spun out there to.
Yeah, and they're not even using sort of current technology either, are they? Because obviously it takes so long to get out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next lot of probes are going to be amazing.
Well, each generation of probe which goes out is just so much more advanced than the last one. Again, Lee posted the pale blue dot picture from Cassini a little while ago, and you compare that to the one that Voyager took back in, I think it was the late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just like, it's the difference between a VHS and a Blu-ray,
Oh, God, yes, yeah. It just makes you excited for what is possible and what is going to be coming up in the future. And, But it also makes me sad that what I'm going to miss.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there is that to a certain extent. It's one of those things where you just, again, wanting to get kind of modelling and philosophical. But, if we were to put so the United States spends a lot of money on defence and everything. If it shoveled that money into space exploration instead, there is literally nothing we couldn't do. We could right now have bases on the Galilean moons if they put that money into there, It's again, we're spending 50 billion on fucking Trident. Fuck that shit. Let's spend it on spaceships and go to the moon, go to Mars, go to the asteroid belt. Let's go and explore.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, that's what I want. I want to see that. I want our planet to get out there and to get out into the solar systems. Go and again visit these planets and to discover new stuff. And just. You want that sense of boundless exploration, that sense of there is nothing we can't do if we set our mind to it. I mean, none of us here were around during the Apollo missions, really. And I kind of want my Apollo moment,
Sadly, I don't think we're going to see that, though.
Well,
no,
you might get somebody on Mars.
It's entirely possible. Elon Musk has stated he wants to die on Mars. That is his goal in life.
At least they're working towards it.
Yeah. They're working towards it, but you don't have that same sense of optimism and we want to go to the moon, and do the other things by the end of this decade, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. There's no one saying that.
No, we haven't got any drive like that at all.
No. And that's truly despondent. Again, NASA's budget's just been slashed and slashed and slashed and slashed to the point where it's operating on a fraction of the percentage it had back when it did Apollo. And it's still able to do great things, which is fantastic, but it really deserves and should be able to do a lot more. But again, people don't put a lot of stock in science at the minute. It's very low on the totem pole.
Yeah.
But again, as I'm very fond of saying, asteroids are just nature's way of saying, how's that space program going?
Yeah, just to tease you, just keep you on your toes.
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've reached the end of our Shonky Lab tour of the solar system.
Your thing's just gone off on the thing. There's one more thing I want to talk about, though.
Yeah, go on. Go for it.
So, do you want to restart?
Yeah,
it's the X planet. Do you want to restart the chat because it's dropped off there?
Oh, is it dropped off? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It started counting up.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm assuming about. So, firstly, New Horizons. Now that it's past Jupiter, they have decided. Firstly, it's going to go off and visit a Kuiper belt object, which I think is awesome. And they only decided that once it got past Pluto.
Is this one of the other dwarf planets out there?
It's not a dwarf planet as such. It's a large object in the Kuiper belt, which they're not actually sure what it is at all. They just know there's an object and they figure, fuck it, let's go and have a look. We can still steer this thing for now, so we're going to do that. So New Horizon is going to do another flyby. I think that's due around 2023 or something like that.
Okay.
But allegedly, apparently, according to scientists, they're reasonably certain there is another large planet in the solar system, a planet X.
A Neptune-sized planet.
Yes.
Far beyond Pluto.
Mm-hmm. Because
reading this.
Basically, the orbit of Pluto and a number of other Kuiper belt objects and things like that, which they can observe, the only way their orbits make sense is if there is a large Neptune-sized planet
out past Neptune. Now, I haven't seen this yet, but they, as with most science, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. It's pretty much the only thing that makes sense as to why. Because, Neptune's orbit is quite, Pluto's orbit is quite elliptical.
Yes.
It goes against the plane from the rest of the planets. Well, the theory is there is this ninth planet out past the orbit of Neptune that is influencing those. So potentially we will at some point, maybe in our lifetimes, maybe not, but they are desperately looking now for Planet X.
So what was that thing that they said that they found out there just recently?
Well, I don't know if you're thinking about this. I mean, they haven't found Planet X. They just heavily suspect it's out there.
I thought they had actually found something which was on a 700-year orbit, which was very elliptical, and it would come in closer than Neptune, and then swing itself way back out again.
Is that like a comet or something?
I think it might be another Pluto-type dwarf planet thing. I'm not sure. I don't know about it off the top of my head, but that's what that sounds like.
I'm gonna find it. I think it might have been Jim that put it up in the Facebook group at some point. I cannot find it at the moment. I'm sure it was in there. Damn it! I had it. Hang on. I've definitely got it somewhere. I'm pretty sure I got it on my phone.
Paging Mr. Moon. Paging Mr. Moon to the white courtesy phone. To the white courtesy phone.
No, I haven't got it. Nuts! I swear I had it. Anyway, okay, yes. Well, I was under the impression that they'd found something. They'd had the, when they have the tablets where they reverse the images of the stars, the background stars, and so they line up all these tablets together, and you have the stars that are black, and everything else is white, and so it's easier to see something moving across a white background than a black background.
Yeah.
And they had something on 3 frames moving, and they said that was the new planet.
Mm-hmm.
But we have been wrong before. We will be wrong again in the future as well.
I found a proposed orbit for this planet, which I've just posted in the chat.
Okay, let me have a look. Okay.
So effectively, it looks like it's almost an orphaned planet, which we've effectively adopted.
Yeah.
And it starts kind of just dragging around. So it's maybe something that either was spun off from the formation of a solar system, or something that we picked up on our travels. Because obviously the solar system itself is actually traveling through space around the galaxy. So not just the planets moving around the sun is moving around the galaxy. So we might have collected that at some point. But because it's such a massively elliptical orbit in that sense, it would have a many thousands of year orbit. So, did it say how many proposed years? Don't see there. But effectively, they were saying it's a few thousand years to do its orbit. So, yeah.
Can you see humanity going outside the solar system? Not in our lifetime, obviously. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's really bad to say, but I honestly think that entirely depends if we survive this next decade. And I'm not trying to be fatalistic there, but if we can get through the next 10 years, then yes.
Yeah, because it's looking pretty grim at the moment, isn't it?
It is pretty fucking grim, to put it bluntly, at the moment. If we can get through these next 10 or so years, I think there's hope that yes, we will definitely branch out into the solar system. Whether or not we'll be able to get out beyond our solar system, that largely depends on if we can discover some method of faster than light.
Right. Okay.
Because if you go with generation ships and so forth, and this sense that you can just... If you go relativistic speeds, so at relativistic speeds, time on the ship goes slower than it goes for time around you. So you could effectively go approaching the speed of light, and as you approach it, a year on the ship would be like 100 years for everyone else.
Yeah.
So
you could seed the planet, but you're not going to be able to function as a civilization. There's no way you can maintain communications or anything like that. So it's a one-way trip, and you're often doing that. And the further you go and the longer and the more distances, effectively you start evolving differently. So you'd effectively become a different species altogether over this sort of time. So this is the thing when you start talking about space and all this exploration thing. It's time becomes very fluid in so much as you're talking very, very big numbers.
Well, there was that equation where it should take 100 million years to fully seed your galaxy. Mm-hmm. And that is 100 million years in the grand scheme of things is all right. It's not bad going. And that is just taking let's start from Earth and go in 2 different directions. And then you build colonies, you spend 5,000 years there, and then go off in 2 different directions again from them 2 different points. And it takes about 100, well, what did I say? 100 million years.
Yeah.
And that's nothing in the grand scheme of things.
What's the thinking in terms of, sort of like wormholes and things like that? Is that still sort of all theory?
It's all theoretical.
Right.
It's not been observed.
Because something like that would enable you to just go vast distances very quickly. I suppose you wouldn't be able to communicate still, though, would you?
Communication would still be difficult. And again, it's if a natural phenomenon, then you don't really control where they go, which is not ideal.
No.
No, yeah. Well, once you'd broken away from your planet and your race and your species, then I suppose that's it. You are your own destiny, really, aren't you?
Yeah, you'd be pretty much off your trot, and you're on your own for that one. So, I mean, it would be exciting, but again, it would be. It's definitely something we're not going to see in any of our lifetime, I suspect. But I would like to, in our lifetime, at least get a permanent base on the moon and possibly Mars.
Is it China that's got plans for that at the moment?
Everyone's got plans.
I think the Chinese are the forerunners, though.
The Chinese are the ones which potentially have both the ability and the ambition to do it. And actually, I think that would be a very good thing, because I think if they do that, it would probably give the US a fucking kick up the arse. Mm-hmm. And then that hopefully will get them interested in doing it again. But the problem, I think, in a minute is humanity as a species is very insular looking at the minute. We're looking inwards instead of outwards. Yeah. And until we kind of shift that perspective, nothing's going to happen.
That's the kind of thing we were talking about earlier on. If they find microbes on Mars or Europa or wherever, that might change attitudes a little bit.
I don't think it will anymore, though. Partly because it's one of those things that there's been a lot of false yeses over the years and interest, but I don't think microbes are going to excite anyone. What will excite people is if they suddenly find a way to mine hydrogen free. If you can turn around and say, yes, we know a way to mine hydrogen free, we can start doing fusion. That will get people going out to the moon.
Well, that's more likely, isn't it? Because it has a commercial benefit, which is always the thing which drives people to actually get involved and do that.
Oh, and that's why SpaceX
they can make a stack of money out of it.
Don't believe for a minute SpaceX is doing this solely for altruistic reasons. They're in it to make money, and that's the thing. If you get into a position where with like hydrogen free, because we've all seen Moon, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah. That's why he's there. He's there to mine the hydrogen free, and that is a key component if you want to start doing fusion. So once they're in a position where that technology starts becoming usable and they say, okay, it's economically viable to do this, then we'll see a massive burst out into space like you wouldn't believe. Plus, if they do this asteroid capture mission and they find it's full of fucking diamonds or whatever, you'll see it going up, start dragging in asteroids left, right and centre.
Oh, God, yeah. You wouldn't be able to stand around and look at planes going over. You'd just be able to see rockets leaving this planet for that stuff.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it comes back to what we were saying before earlier on. It's at the minute, all our eggs are in one rather beautiful blue marbly shaped basket. But if as a species we want to survive, we need to get off of this one basket and start colonizing the solar system. So hurry the fuck up. Well, actually, don't. Like I said, let's see what happens in November, because we might not deserve saving. So depending on how that goes.
Right, I think we should leave it there.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who has joined us for this rather lengthy mission. How far have we got in light years? 121 light minutes.
Or 14.6 astronomical units. And I believe that Uranus is about 30 astronomical units, so we're not halfway to Uranus. It's a fitting epitaph, that, isn't it?
That's not the first time that's been said either.
It's true.
Right. Andy, would you like to plug anything that you're on?
Yes. You can catch me when I'm not talking about space here. I'm talking about spaceships on Space Dock Jury, which is at spacedock.geekplanetonline.com. And on the Book of Face, which is at, he says, pausing to go and find it, facebook.com/groups/Space Dock Jury, and also on Twitter, which basically we all pick a spaceship and argue over which one would win a fight.
Nice one. Lee, have you got anything else to plug? Maybe maps on Mars?
Not really. I'm just with you. This is the only podcast I do.
Cool.
I did put up the link to the Mars map in the chat room. Maybe I'll put it on the Facebook group as well.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, that's it. So.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you to everyone that's joined us. Thank you to everyone that's stuck with us for our very shonky trip round the solar system. Apologies to any scientists or anyone of that nature listening to this. I can only sympathise with your thoughts on us and talking about the planets in a rather Neanderthal way.
If you want to correct it, obviously contact Elton and come on the second one, which he'll do, where you can correct all of our mistakes.
Yes,
because I'm bound to do a second one.
And that will be longer than this one, won't it? Just correcting the mistakes.
Oh God, yes.
The Nitpicker's Guide to the Shonky Lab.
But it's just for entertainment. This is just really for people to get to and from work. That's what this is all about. It's just for your pleasure. So,
is it the sort of equivalent, like wrestling is sports entertainment?
Yes.
Is this science entertainment?
It is, yes. It's not even pay-per-view. This is just the free stuff that you get when you go to Butlins. That's the type of wrestling this is.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, thank you to everyone that joined us in the chat room. That is at mixler.com/Rogue2Media. I always stick it up on the Twitter and the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/ShonkyLab. You can find all the dealings there. You can find this podcast and the Grand Prix podcast over at rogue2.com. The Grand Prix podcast, which I do with Andy. Are we doing it this weekend?
Absolutely. Hungarian Grand Prix.
Lovely. Thumbs up for that.
Yep.
I suppose it just leaves me to say, please leave quietly. This is a residential area.
Whenever life gets you down, Mrs. Brown, and things seem hard or tough, and people are stupid, obnoxious or daft. Our galaxy itself. universe itself keeps on expanding and expanding in all of the directions it can win. And pray that there's intelligent life somewhere up in space, 'cause there's bugger all down here on Earth.
Which
All
really,
right.
yeah, flipping hell. Anyway, we're not here to have arguments. We're here to give away stuff and to talk about the solar system. Before we start anything, I want to introduce people to a website. It's called If the Moon Were Only One Pixel. It's on joshworth.com. That's joshworth.com. And what we're going to do, I'm going to press a little button at the top, bottom right hand corner, and that scans the solar system in light speed. So I want to see how far we can get on this episode. So I don't know if you want to play along or not, but it's well worth going over there and having a look at it. So I'm going to click it now, and I'll just let you know what planets we're passing and stuff. Oh, I'm leaving the sun already. It's awesome. There we go.
And we're away at the speed of light.
Very, very slowly.
What do you mean slow? It's the speed of bloody light.
You say that. You do say that, but, you know.
0.1 light minutes.
Yeah, it's clocking up, but... See, we've already travelled 10 million kilometres. But it's nothing, mate. It's nothing.
That strikes me as quite a distance if you were like heading down to the local shops.
Yes. Right,
Quite a significant overshoot.
Yes. This episode, we're talking about the solar system. We're also giving away planets and moons. So if anyone in the chat room wants a moon or wants a planet, then let us know. Or if you want to Skype in, you're more than welcome to Skype in, and we'll bring you into the conversation. And we'll give away the planet or the moon that you require. So
have you gents got preferences on your choices?
I'm not going to choose. I'm going to wait for the end. I will choose mine at the end, I think.
Oh, yeah? You're going to see what's left at the end, are you?
Yeah, I'll give you two your first go. Who wants to go first?
No, after
Go on,
you,
Andy.
Lee. No, you first, sir.
I'm gonna play it safe, stick with home, and I'm gonna take Earth.
You're
Yeah.
Are you an emperor or a king?
You do know there's a nasty infestation of humans there.
Yeah, I can deal with that fairly easily though. Just nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
No, we've tried that. It didn't work.
We haven't tried it enough.
Yeah.
What is it Peter Cook says in Whoops Apocalypse? This conservative government doesn't believe in paying for nuclear weapons that aren't going to be used.
Yes.
So you're having the Earth.
I take the Earth. I like water. There's a lot of it.
Okay, cool.
Fair enough.
Let's take it.
Andy, what would you like?
All my stuff is there as well.
I would like. It's a moon of Saturn. It's called Mimas. MIMAS. And do you know why I want that one?
I know exactly why you want that one.
Because that's no moon. It's a space station.
There is one very, very similar to that as well in the same system, but we'll might get to that later. We don't know. Oh, we're coming up to Mercury, by the way.
Hey, Mercury!
If you look out at the left side of the craft, you'll see Mercury.
The only planet where
Eventually.
I believe the day is longer than the year.
Yes. Okay, so let's crack on with this. Anyone's history with the solar system or anything to do with space, I take it, because I've got you guys on this episode, I take it you guys are fascinated with all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, just speaking for myself, I have spent most of my life in the solar system. I'm not going to lie, I'm largely here just for that joke.
I'm here so that you two can tell me loads of really clever things, and I can go, "Ooh, that sounds amazing." That's my role. So I assume that you both have lots of clever things and lots of facts and stuff to talk about.
Oh, yes.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? I do have...
I would like to think so, yeah. Despite having been on this show before.
Yeah, I do have a children's encyclopedia in front of me.
Is it the Dawn in Kingsley one?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's a good book. That one is.
Have you got it too?
I do have it, not in front of me, but it is a good book.
So yes, so you're taking Mimas, how quickly it does turn outside of your field of view. But when you're looking at the moon and looking at all them craters, and if you get a half moon, you've got the shadow halfway down that moon, then you can really see how tall some of these peaks are, and it's just mind blowing. It really is.
Oh yeah, because even in London, the moon is pretty self-evident, and it's great just when you've got a full moon like you do today on a clear day. Just sit back and look at it, and it's just like, wow, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
You can pick out all those details with your eye, and it's just, that's awesome.
So what have you seen through a telescope or anything like that?
I have seen, in the solar system anyway, I've seen Jupiter and Saturn, Mars.
Yep.
Slightly outside of a solar system, but I'll just say for the interest sort of thing. I've seen things like the Andromeda Galaxy. I've seen the Milky Way, obviously, which is beautiful. And again, if you get, especially in the southern hemisphere, I don't know if it's quite as apparent in the northern hemisphere, but you get that really great band of stars, the central core, and that's just amazing to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's and the moon, obviously, where you can take in details. I love the Tycho crater on the moon because it's impacted as just massive star ejector, where it's just kind of like on, poof, and like spread material all around it. It's like that was a pretty hefty impact.
Yeah, too right. Lee, what have you seen?
Through telescopes, not really much. Not that I can remember.
Have you got any binoculars at all?
I used to have some when I was very little, or my dad had some. We used to look around with those, but I don't remember looking at anything specific apart from probably the moon. But I was going to ask you, which planets can you actually see without a telescope? Because I often see, I think Venus is obvious because it's usually pretty bright, but the rest of them,
well, you can see everything up to Saturn, can't you?
Yeah, with your naked eye, you can see everything up to Saturn.
Because you can often see like a little red dot, and I do wonder whether that is Mars or not. But I just don't know. And okay, fair enough.
It is. Well, on your phone, you can get the Star Walker app.
Ah, yes, that's good.
Because the great thing with that is when you see a star, you kind of point your phone up, and it'll go, "Oh, that's this star here," and you go, "Oh, wow, that's awesome."
So, like a sort of augmented reality thing, it
Yeah.
just shows you what you're looking at, or lists what you're looking at,
Mhm.
basically. Okay, awesome.
Well,
What's that called?
The red dot you might be finding, it could be Betelgeuse.
Okay.
It's possible, but I think it's more likely to be Mars.
You can see that red, though, from that star.
Yeah.
I forget where that's one of the shoulders of Orion, isn't it?
I think so. I don't want to quote me on that. It's entirely possible.
I'm pretty sure it's one of the shoulders of Orion.
So, Elton, I can't see Uranus with the naked eye then?
Well, if you're bendy, you can.
Should we mark that up as 1?
Yeah, why not?
For Uranus jokes.
I think there's a few in the chat room already.
Yeah, a little bit. In fact, Greg says he has a 4.5-inch reflector, and he's seen the rings of Saturn and several moons. And nice. Jack Woodgate congratulates us on the first Uranus gag of the evening.
Oh no, that was from Teresa.
So was it?
Nobody wants the rings around Uranus.
No one wants that. No. It's a classy show. We're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it's not called Uvectum. That's only in Futurama. In the year 3000, it'll be renamed.
So, where would you like to go first?
Ooh.
Are we going to do a journey, or are we just going to basically talk about this? Because I'm quite happy for either or.
I think you should talk about Mars.
Yeah, let's go straight to Mars, because let's face it, it's the one where everyone seems to be spending most of their attention these days.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, I'm currently wearing a Mars is Closer Than You Think t-shirt, which lists all the missions to Mars on the back, because that's the level of nerd I am.
So why do you think everyone is so obsessed with Mars?
I think we've always been obsessed with Mars.
Well, it's the closest viable planet of which we can visit and actually look to spend time on. Because Venus, while closer, I'm pretty sure.
No, I haven't had that for a long time. Trust me. No, this accident. Okay, right. I was in my van having my lunch. I was eating a sandwich, and I was watching a little movie on my iPhone, as I try to during my lunch break.
Hang on, wait. Important things first.
Mm.
What kind of sandwich was it?
It was a ham and cheese sandwich.
Classic,
but
sandwich.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah,
it was a good.
Keep it simple.
Keeping it real.
Exactly, perfect.
Down in the hood, etc. Anyway, I was having this said sandwich, and I was watching a little movie on my iPhone. I try to grab 20 minutes at lunch if I'm lucky. Some days you don't get lunch, and some days you do get lunch. And this was one of them days where I was just trying to grab the lunch as soon as I could. And I was parked right up to a double yellow line. So I wasn't on the yellow line. I was perfectly placed just off the yellow line. And some idiot came along, sized up. He had a massive long wheelbase Transit, and he sized up the gap in front of me to the next car, which he could have fitted that car in, and maybe a moped as well. There was plenty of room there. And he decided to reverse into there. And he reversed in there. And then he kept reversing, and kept reversing. And then ended up bumping my car. And I was like, okay, what the bloody hell? So I bid my horn. He got out, I got out, and it was, okay, I don't actually want to fight. Please don't punch me. Because he's like twice the size of me and taller than me and everything like that. And I was like, whoa, no. But anyway, I've got out of the car now, so I need to do something. And so I was asking him, you must have felt you hit my van. And he was like, no. Why didn't you move back? Why weren't you helping me out? You what? What are you on about? And it just carried on for about 20 minutes. And then I said to him about hitting my van. Didn't you hit my van at all? And he's like, no, I don't know what you're on about. No, I didn't feel a thing. And I started calling him a liar. I didn't swear. I did not swear at all throughout this whole entire session. It went on for about maybe 5 minutes. It felt like half hour though. It was one of them dreaded things where, oh my God, what am I going to do if something kicks off? Because I'm a lover, not a fighter. And he just stonewall denied anything had happened, even though he just hit my van and blamed it on me. But it was like, no, nothing's happened. You're a flipping liar, mate. You're a flipping liar. And I got back in the van, and he drove around, parked up, then decided to get out the van again and come over to my door and open my door. And he was like, you're a tradesman, I'm a tradesman, why you no help me? What's going on? Why are you not helpful? I am quite helpful, actually. When you want me to help, I'm quite helpful. I didn't know you was going to hit the van, crying out loud. And then he just walked off halfway through my sentence, me saying stuff, and that winds me up. And I got out the car and went, you, sir, are a very rude man. And then got in the car and drove off.
What did he say?
He just looked at me. He just didn't give a shit.
Did you slap him across the face with your glove?
Did you say, I said good day, sir?
I said good day.
I said good day, sir.
I will next time. Definitely. I didn't even think about saying that. I wish I had. I'll be getting my dueling pistols out.
It's the best way to end any argument. Is I said good day, sir. I said good day, sir.
I think I will next time. I'm going to, try and put that on tap for next time I do that. But flipping hell, it was one of them cases of, I don't want this to kick off. But if it does kick off, what the flipping hell am I going to do? I don't know.
Kick him in the balls and run away.
Yeah. Slam his head against a car door or something like that. And then for the next half hour, I'm having the argument in my head.
Yeah.
I'm having the argument with my steering wheel.
Did you win that head argument?
No, I didn't.
Well, you lost that one as well.
Yeah. So, productive day.
Oh.
It's minus.
I'm taking the Death Star, basically.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to... Whatever planet anyone else chooses, I don't care. I'm going to go around blowing them up later, because I can.
Okay.
Hang on. You can't blow up my one.
Yes, I can.
Well, that'll be blowing up you.
Oh, I think you'll find this space station is quite operational. You're far too trusting.
Mr. PP, in the chat room. I don't know who Mr. PP is, but welcome, Mr. PP. He said he'd like Laptus from Saturn. So I'm going to write that down. Hang on.
Yes, good.
And he has got Mimus and Laptus. I'm going to have to actually look that one up.
I think it's called. Is it Iapetus? I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation because a lot of these were named by very poncy people who spoke Latin and Greek and stuff like that.
Yeah, it could be Iapetus. I'm just looking at it as a lowercase L. Sorry, I do apologise. Mr. PP. Okay, there we go. Giving our first one away. Okay.
Incidentally, interesting fact. Incidentally, I can tell you we have 181 natural moons and planets available. So there's a lot there for people. So we can potentially double up later on.
Is that all it is, though? I thought there was more than that.
It's 181, which you'd count as anything larger than say a dwarf planet. So there's a lot more in like the asteroid field and all that sort of malarkey and so forth. But 181 known natural moons orbiting planets in our solar system.
Yeah, that's awesome. And at one point there was just the Earth, and everything went round the Earth at one point.
At one point, people thought that it was never actually that.
Yeah.
It's an important distinction to make here. And no, the solar system is not 6,000 years old. Anyone who says that, I will hunt you down and blow you up with my Death Star laser, which I now have.
Talking more like 4.6 billion years old.
Something along those lines, yes.
Right. So, do you guys have telescopes or anything that you can look up at the foreign bodies up there?
No, sadly, I live in a city, so it wouldn't really work too well, unfortunately.
I did have a telescope when I was a kid, but again, living in London, and I never had a tripod for it either, so it was like impossible to use. But now that I'm kind of into photography stuff, I do like taking astrophotography when I go places which don't have lots of lights and everything, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Frog Stomper wants Jupiter, incidentally, because it's big and gassy, and that seems appropriate.
Frog Stomper wants Jupiter. Okay. Right.
And Jim Moon has picked Pluto. I'm guessing for some eldritch reasons, possibly some sort of occults going on there. Greg wants the Evil from Fifth Element, but that's not actually a real planet, so no, you cannot.
He could have picked it for Disney reasons.
Hang on. What one does Jim want?
Jim wants Pluto.
Oh, he's having Pluto. Okay.
Yes. The largest of the dwarf planets. Is it the largest, or is Eris larger? I will have to look this up.
Eris. I think Eris is slightly larger.
That was the whole reason Pluto basically got degraded. It was because there's a bigger dwarf planet in the asteroid belt. Embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, I've got my own telescope. You guys have seen that in my dining room.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's only every now and again. It's normally during the winter as well because it's a longer night as well. And that's when you can crack it out. During the summer, the nights are shorter, so you have to stay up a lot later before you crack it out. And the telescope. And that thing is... I'm so impressed with it. I really am. It's not massive. It's not thousands and thousands of pounds worth of equipment. But it's enough to have curiosity grow inside you from it. You can see the rings of Saturn. You can see Jupiter and the bands on there. You can see the moons going around Jupiter. And the first thing you do look at is the moon. And when you can zoom in on it, you can see all the craters on there, and everything looks magnificent. It goes past your field of view so quickly. It's really scary on how. Hello everyone, and welcome to Shonky Lab. My name is Elton, and I am here and joined by guest producers. We are going to be talking about the solar system, but my guest producers are Mr. Andy Palastides.
Hello.
And Mr. Lee Harvey.
Hiya.
How are you, gentlemen? You alright?
Yes, I'm quite well, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Anything going on in your lives before we move on to the solar system? Because I've got a story. I'm not too sure if I feel like telling it though.
What do you mean you don't feel? You can't. That's a juicy dangler, sir. You can't put that out there and then not follow through.
Is that like to get people to subscribe? You know, do you get like the podcast extras or something?
Yeah, it's tune in after the break.
Yeah. After these messages.
Yeah. At the top of the hour, we might be doing the competition later on and find out what John did with a snowman.
Well. Aside from anything, I'm quite well, thank you. Nothing massively exciting going on. Although I am off to go and see Star Trek tomorrow, which I'm hoping will be good.
Ah, okay.
Desperately hoping will be good.
I've heard good stuff about it. I obviously won't be going to see it, but
You say that now.
no, dude. There's no way you're going to get me into a cinema to watch that. No way.
Sounds like a challenge to me.
You can challenge it all you like. It ain't happening.
Oh, and the other thing I did is I went to a Star Wars convention in a Star Trek uniform.
And how did that go down?
Well, evidently I'm still here, so I'd call that a win.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's good. And you saw Indiana Jones. Oh, sorry, Raiders.
Yes,
yesterday.
I went to see Raiders last night with Mr. Metcalf, which was fantastic, as it always is.
So on the cinema?
Yes, at the BFI.
Charles. Oh, the
No,
BFI. Oh, okay.
Yes. It was the Ponzi cinema where we discussed film theory and the mise en scène and, you know, the use of Art Nouveau in the 1920s. It was very, very, very good.
Everyone wears a smoking jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone puts their slippers on as they go into the cinema.
Oh, and a pipe. You
And
need a pipe.
And a pipe,
Yes.
yes. And
With
shot
one
whiskey.
of those cigarette holder things. not with the pipe, obviously.
No, you can't have one of them with a pipe. Crying out loud. What's the matter with you?
Yeah. Like your history's greatest monster. What's wrong with you?
It belongs in a museum.
Mm.
Wait.
Yes, much like Indiana Jones these days.
Yeah. Lee, anything happening with you?
Been watching softball, which is like one step up from rounders, one step down from baseball.
Is that on the telly box or is that?
No, with my team that I play for. I'm broken at the moment, so I wasn't able to actually play myself. But the Southampton Spitfires Mark II, we lost to our first team. Mark I's absolutely thrashed us. But I got to do lots of heckling on the megaphone that we've got, so that was fun.
Oh.
And that's about it for this week. Yeah, just working and mapping the country.
As you do.
Yeah,
as you do.
So nothing exciting. Bit of sport.
Good.
Bit of work.
Well, I don't know if I should. I don't know if I'm in the mood to actually say this or not. I had an accident today at work, and I ended up.
It's nothing to be ashamed of, mate. It happens to everyone. Honestly.
Not one of them. I haven't had one of them.
Did
for
you have
a
to
long
wear
time.
the spare pants?